We are live.
Excellent. Good afternoon and welcome to the August 13th, 2020 Architectural Review Board meeting. I'd like to open today's meeting. This is a video conference meeting. I'd like to open it today with the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was 3 weeks ago on July 23rd, 2020. And unless anybody has any comments, I'd like to get a approval on the minutes. Peter, can I get an approval?
Aye.
Aye. Second, Diane?
Aye.
All in favor, Chip?
Yes. Aye.
Betsy? Yes, and Esperanza?
Aye.
Great. Okay, so let's open the meeting with the first application on the agenda under Historic District and Landmarks, which is Kevin Bishop, tax map number 300-63-5-10, 21 Old Stone Highway in East Hampton. And Peter, if you could read into the record the what the application is for.
The application is for a generator location, which we had seen previously, right? And we were concerned about the visibility and the location of it. They have subsequently moved the, this is the site, right? This was the original location of the generator, which, as you notice, was directly visible off the driveway, right, off actually it's Old Stone Highway. Could we go on to the revised location, please? They've submitted a new site plan, which has moved the generator further back and made it not visible from the street.
There it is.
Okay. The original one was located closer to Old Stone Highway. They have moved it back to location number 2, right, further back. I have photographs just sent to Derek. They're proposing to put it to the right side of the Bilco, right? Not tucked under the deck, but closer to the edge. You can see the driveway. The next photograph. This is looking towards Old Stone Highway. This is from Old Stone Highway, and it's blocked by both the tree and the extension of the Bilco. I think it's a much improved location and would recommend that we approve this. I'd like to make a motion that we approve this as submitted.
What I'd like to do is ask when we read into the record the approval that we actually state that the location, this was something that I've been sort of, being an advocate about on the resolution. So maybe, Peter, you could say that you'd like to make a motion as submitted, located behind the cellar door or Bilco door, so that if somebody goes out to do the site inspection and it's not you and they don't have a copy of the survey, that they would be able to locate the generator.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the generator location to the east of the existing Bilco door, tucked partially under the deck.
Okay, great. Can I get a second on that, Chip?
Second.
Great. All in favor, Diane?
Aye.
Esperanza?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. Okay, great. Thank you, Peter. Okay, under agricultural overlay, Marcy Klein, tax map number 300-202-2-4, 126 Beach Lane in Wainscott, and that's Esperanza. If you could read into the record the application, please.
Yes, certainly. Give me a moment. The application is for the extension of garage under an existing overhanging eave, about just over 130 square feet, and then also joining two existing adjacent dormers, a driveway gate, deck extension, and extension of an existing covered porch over the existing garage, which is about 57 square feet addition. And there's to be no change to the coverage or clearing. That is what is specified on this application. And I think that's it for the moment. So I believe the architect who I was fortunate enough to meet at the property is calling in. So perhaps if we could have him join us.
Chair, if I may, there are a few callers. I can unmute one if you'd like.
Sure.
One moment, please. I'm unmuting the first caller now.
I do have a question for you, though, Esperanza, once we get the gentleman on the phone.
Certainly.
Hello, caller. You're live.
Hello,
with
this
the
is
ARB.
Andrew Rainiak.
It's him.
Hi,
Hi,
Andrew.
Hi, everyone. This is the architect for 126 Beach Lane. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you. Esperanza just read what the changes are to the house, and when I reviewed the application, it said something about a driveway gate. Is there a new driveway gate that is being proposed with this application as well?
There's a driveway gate that it's already being built. It's at 4 feet. So I don't believe it's an issue for us, or is that an issue?
No, okay. And then, well, the other thing was I could not see on the survey where the location was.
Of the driveway gate?
Yeah, did I miss that?
It should, I think it
It's
is.
on the survey,
Oh, there it
it's
is.
on the drawing.
Do you see
Okay,
it?
all right,
Okay.
great. And so that's a 4-foot gate, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you for that, Andrew.
So I think, yeah. Andrew walked me through the changes, and perhaps it might be easier, Derek, if we can look at the photos I took rather than the elevations. I don't know, for everyone, it might be a little bit easier. The changes are on the north and the west side of the residence. So on this side, there would be some changes, but I think this isn't, you can see in the lower elevation, there is on the left side of that exterior, there's sort of an arched, sorry, my language is failing me right now. You see those arches that support a little overhang? Yeah.
Mhm.
That is the garage that's going to be extended. So all of that's going to be sort of extended out, and you won't have those supports anymore. And so
Is that, so the supports go away, but the roof line on that west elevation is what they're proposing?
yeah, and it is, Andrew will better explain perhaps, but it will essentially look the same. It's just one wall and that roof coming out about 4 or 5 feet, something like that.
And what side of the house faces the ag overlay? What is it, west, east?
This is my question, because even from the survey, I couldn't quite tell what the ag overlay is. I wasn't quite sure where it's located.
I looked it up.
And I asked that question of Andrew as well, and we just had a brief conversation about it. But essentially, I think that side technically faces the ag overlay, but
The west side?
that side that we're discussing right now, that west side, that would face Wainscott Pond. And I think that is part of an ag overlay in that direction. I really don't know how this would affect anything. It's so tucked away everywhere. So
If I looked it up also because I couldn't tell from the survey. I actually think what triggers this property is there's an ag overlay
on the other side.
across Beach Lane, catty cornered.
Yes.
And because the way that the code reads, it's, you know, directly abutting, adjacent, or, you know, the property lines don't touch, but I think that that's what it is. So it's not,
Okay.
it's kind
That
of,
was my question.
it's northeast of the property.
Right, right.
And then technically what it looks like, you can see from the top of the survey, I don't know if these are like sort of these shared driveway, maybe not a shared driveway, but there are these flag lots. So I don't even think that this really would share a property line, but it's very close to, but across the street from.
Okay.
Exactly.
Does
Yes.
that make sense? If
Yeah.
you're looking, it's like, I think that there's a property, if you're looking at that survey, kind of where the Compass Rose is,
Mhm.
like up in that corner.
Yeah,
There's
that
an
would be
undeveloped-
just north of the Euro Spartan house, right? Just,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Yep.
And then on the other side, I think also where the Lauder property is, there might be some of that.
I
that
think so.
adjoins the
I think
ag
that there's a
overlay.
property between them too. So I think there are some in the neighborhood, but nothing directly abutting.
Right.
Okay.
So
So do you feel, does anybody have any questions for Andrew?
No.
Well, I think we should really go through just the pictures so you can get
Yeah.
a sense of what's being done. And I honestly, I mean, unless you, I
Yeah.
personally don't think that there's anything drastic about this or that would change the residents tremendously. This is the gate.
Nice.
And so actually, just beyond that gate, you see the two dormers.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is to build out between those two dormers to create more space, interior space. And then there's going to be sort of a paneling placed between those two windows that imitates some paneling that is existing on the east side of the residence, which you can kind of glimpse at there just above the hedge, left of those two dormers.
Okay.
So essentially it would just be filling that space in between the dormers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one change. And then the
Okay.
other one of the garage, we could maybe visualize it better with the other photographs. Oh, that's the paneling that I'm indicating.
Okay.
So that would be the, sort of a decorative effect between these two dormers.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the garage. So that whole overhang comes out approximately 4 feet. You lose the supports, the arch supports. The cladding on the garage door is just going to change to, it's,
Natural cedar.
thank you, Andrew, natural cedar. And I didn't check whether it was horizontal or vertical, but it's on the plans. And then the second story, that little enclosed, sort of like an enclosed porch. So that whole space would come out also. And Andrew, here's where you can maybe jump in and explain this.
Is there an elevation for this that we could look at? Or yeah, maybe Andrew can just speak to that. Okay.
Sure, I think this photo is actually more useful than the elevations because the elevations, it's very hard to see the differences. There is an existing eave line overhang at the garage, which is cantilevered on the existing structure. Those brackets are purely decorative. The gutter and eave line are going to remain in place, and we're going to bring the garage door forward under the edge of the eave. And at the level above, those multi-pane windows will be relocated also 4.5 feet out. The roof line the ridge of that roof will remain in the same place. We're going to reframe it to the new wall location, and we're going to bring out that existing white painted wood deck rail the same distance. So everything creeps a little bit to the north at this corner. The garage walls will be shingled, and as Esperanza said, the garage door itself will be clear cedar.
Okay. Well, I think it looks lovely. Does anybody have any questions for Andrew before we move this forward?
Nope.
Are the windows going to be the divided lights?
The windows will be the same divided lights. These are currently removable panels. They're not double hungs. They're just fixed units of 12, and that same proportion will be maintained.
So they will then be operable, not just panels?
Hello.
That was a question.
Unfortunately,
Did we
this is
lose
Mike.
Andrew?
Excuse me, this
We
is
lose
Mike. Yes, we lost him. Hopefully he'll call right
Oh,
back.
no.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, everything is sort of stays the same.
He's
And
back.
if not,
There
we
he
can
is.
look at the elevations and we could check on there.
Andrew, are you there?
Andrew again.
Okay.
I'm back.
Peter had a question. Peter had a question for you about the windows above the garage. Peter?
The question was, are they going to
did hear-
become operable windows rather than, you said they were just panels?
They will remain panels. They're seasonal panels that can be installed for the off-season and removed in the summer, but that's exactly what will be replaced in the new configuration.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right, Esperanza, if you'd like to make a motion, please.
Yes, I make a motion to approve this application as submitted.
Can I get a second, Peter?
Second,
All in favor, Diane,
Aye.
Chip,
Aye.
and Betsy? Aye. Great. Thank you, Andrew. Good luck with the reno.
Thank you, everyone, and be safe.
You too.
You too.
Moving along to change to commercial, which could, should we classify this as comments to planning, Jameson?
I think so. I think we're going to confirm with the applicant what they're seeking, but
Okay.
we got a cover letter from the chair of the planning department, for the planning board, asking for comments to planning. So that's what I thought this was, but we can double check with them.
Okay,
What's
so let me
your-
read it to the record, please. Southampton Hospital, tax map number 300-165-5-22. And that is that 400? Because I wrote out, is that 400 Panago?
Yes.
And East Hampton. Peter, if you could read in, is there an application, Peter, or no, there's not an application?
there is an application, which is a joint application for site plan special permit application and architectural review board application. But it was submitted to the planning board, right? And planning, as far as I can tell, has not approved this yet. They are still reviewing and have a series of questions.
Okay, so on the application for the architectural review board, is there a description of what the application is for?
Yes,
Yeah.
if I can read it. The type is extremely small. Proposed project will provide a new freestanding emergency department and outpatient diagnostic and imaging center.
Great.
The site will be redeveloped to provide a new parking and lighting, landscaping, and ambulance garage, and an emergency generator, which is required for hospital use. Description of the proposed exterior changes: removal of existing ball fields, parking, dugout, concession, and toilets, and associated utilities, lighting, etc. The proposed design will create a new revised traffic connection point from the site from Pantago Place. New roadways, parking, site lighting, landscaping, and site utilities will be provided to serve the new building. Southampton Hospital Association will also request permission to develop a portion of the adjacent parcel currently owned by the town of East Hampton to provide a helistop for transport of critical patients to other hospitals as required.
Okay, thank you. Michael, is there anyone on for Southampton Hospital? We're looking for possibly Elizabeth and Farrell.
There is a phone caller on hold, which I will unmute now, and there is a David Gilmartin on Zoom and a David Larson on Zoom.
Okay, so we have two Davids, right?
Yes, they are.
Those should be our
I'm David Larson.
our Zoom participants.
And
David,
Great.
do you know, is Liz zooming in or calling in?
David Gilmartin is representing Farrell and Fritz and Southampton Hospital today, and I'm
Okay.
the architect with Perkins Eastman.
Okay, David Gilmartin, is Liz zooming in or calling in?
I am appearing for the hospital. Liz is at another meeting.
Oh, okay.
So David Martin is sitting in for.
I'm the attorney for Southampton Hospital.
Okay, great. So how do we want to do this? Are you prepared for a presentation, David?
I am.
David Larson, the architect, will prepare the project. But before he starts, just by way of background, we have an application in front of the town board for a zone change. And then the site plan is in front of the planning board. I'm not sure which board is the one that referred it to you. It sounds like it was the planning board. I would have thought it was the town board. But this is part of the larger zone change application that we have in front of the planning board. And that zone change is looking to go from the parks and conservation to a commercial industrial zone. And the application and the use that we have before is an acceptable use in that zone. And we're not looking for any physical or bulk area variances for that. It's just simply a zone change and it will fit in. So with that, I would ask David to proceed with presenting you with what we have planned.
Can I just back everyone up for 1 second, because we just want to be clear. This wasn't referred to our board. The applicant filled out a joint application for a site plan and architectural review board. So we received an application to the architectural review board. We just want to be clear for today's meeting. What we got was then a cover letter from the planning board after their initial review, asking the ARB for comments back to the planning board about the application. So tonight, that was what the ARB should be prepared to do, unless we just want to be clear from the applicant's expectations, whether you're also thinking that the ARB potentially, if you had all the visuals and everything like that, would be actually rendering a decision tonight. Because we just want to caution that at this stage, if any of the plans that you have, site plans, surveys, renderings, anything changed even slightly pursuant to the conversation with the planning board, you would have to come back for a modification to the ARB. Right. Because we would only be able to approve specifically what was in front of us. So, I wanted just to clarify that now so that we all were on the same page about what the ARB was being tasked with today. So do you know what you're asking us for?
Yes, so this is a referral from the planning board, and we're just looking for commentary at this point. Yeah.
Right,
okay,
great.
That's great.
Right.
That's easier for us. Thank you very much. Okay.
Right, and to do that.
In discussing with Peter, who is going to, review with you what was submitted, there would be more detailed materials that would need to be submitted in order for us to review it in a way that we could do approvals from the ARB perspective and purview. Because what I understand were submitted were drawings and just to give us an overall view of the aesthetics of the building.
Right. This is really to allow the seeker to go forward, which is a requirement for the zoning change.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
it is a preliminary review. We understand that. And
Okay.
we're here to share with you what we've got.
Okay. Now, do you have something to present to us, David Larson, or
I
should we
do.
go-
Yes,
Okay.
I do. And I assume you have the whole site plan review package, but what I did is I called a sort of more architectural focus
Mhm.
slide presentation to walk through with you. Okay.
Great.
So
Thank you so
let me
much.
share. Mhm.
Yep.
They have to relinquish the screen to me. Okay.
There you go.
Here we go. Okay. Can you see it?
We can see you.
Okay. Can you see it now?
There you go.
There it
About
comes.
to.
Yeah,
Can't.
it looks like
Yeah,
There we
There.
go.
very guarded.
Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here today. We've been working with Southampton Hospital Association for several years on this project during the fundraising stage, and have gone through a number of iterations. There were a number of sites looked at early on, and this was the site that was selected by the town to enter into an agreement with Southampton for the purpose of providing this emergency department, which is highly needed in the area. I'm going to continue quickly through this and let you ask questions. Sorry. Okay. So the site is north of Montauk Highway at the terminus of Pantago Place. It's this L-shaped property. It's approximately 4.5 acres. At the end of the road right now is a roundabout, which is substandard in size and difficult to negotiate for ambulances. So we're proposing to smooth that out and create a ring road that allows ambulances and visitors to come into the site. At this point, visitors would turn, drop off at a covered entry, and circulate back to the visitor parking. Ambulances would have controlled access, whether it be with a push button or the security group allowing them in. And we brought the ambulances back around the backside with 4 ambulance bays that don't stay there. These are anybody bringing patients in would come and drop off, do their paperwork and leave. Then we have a loading dock back in this area, a small trash area, a visitor parking area. The ambulance parking
I believe
garage
the
is
parking area is staff.
staff. Yeah, sorry, staff. Thank you. Visitors, staff. I'm talking too fast. In the back of the site, we've pushed the generator as far back from public view as possible, and it will have screening around it. You'll see that in the landscaping plan. And then the ambulance garage, which is for an ambulance, which is parked there. They don't go out and pick up patients with this ambulance, is my understanding. They will take someone who has to go to another hospital from here to the other hospital. So this will be Southampton's own ambulance back here. The roadway going over to the left is a proposed roadway. It's still under negotiation. It's really not part of the zoning of this parcel at the moment because it's uncertain if the helistop will be approved in this particular location. But it was the closest place to the hospital, which you really want a helistop to be very close if someone has to be evacuated when they're in critical condition. And this is about 400 feet away, which, would require some improvements and whatnot, and a pad, an FAA approved pad. We originally wanted it on the site. It just really wasn't possible with the water tower here, power lines to the north, a lot of tree cover around the perimeter. So that's the proposition. Move on. This gives you a little better view of the type of site we're trying to really create here. We are preserving much of the landscaping around the perimeter of the site. There's a lot of ground cover and various species used for screening. The trees that aren't labeled are existing trees of significance that we are maintaining. I think we only lost about six or so trees in the in the plan that we have right now, and then we're adding about 106 or more trees to create a park-like setting, which is very important to the town. We know that, and we want it to be filled with nature. You know, it really is an important thing. The back side of the property contains a 50-foot landscape buffer easement that was part of the original subdivision development, which is allowed to be modified. It was basically there to prevent building any housing in that particular 50-foot zone. It is important to help screen from the LIRR, and that's really the intent. We've provided a reserved area for a bike path, which the town has asked us to do. There is no bike path going to the right, which is the water authority property, or to the west, which is the municipal property. But eventually they plan to put that in. We're using trees in the parking to help provide shade and to help screen the building from view a little bit. We're creating a plaza here at the southeast corner for visitors who might want to wait for a ride or wait while their loved one's being cared for. Another plaza around the back for staff who might need a break from a busy day. And another casual play field, which can be used for picnics or whatever types of events they may wish to have. We are also providing a small rain garden here because of the way the roof steps back to accentuate the massing. We've basically allowed the rainwater to go down in some rain change. You'll see some images of that. And that will go into a rock garden, which has filter fabric and whatnot to filter the water and recharge the aquifer. The site will also have bike parking, and it will have vehicle charging stations for 2 cars in each of the lots at this time. The landscaping is chosen from a particular landscaping set that is proffered by the town of East Hampton. So it's all local flora. It's all meant to be there, and it should fit nicely into the landscaping that's there and be somewhat drought resistant and you know, befitting of the environment that's there. The building itself, the program is to provide 2 primary functions, the orange being the emergency department, which contains 10 treatment rooms and the associated support spaces. The imaging function is the diagnostics and testing imaging, which 2 of these functions, the X-ray and the CT, are required for the emergency department. There is a plan for a shell space for a future MRI, and day 1 would be mammography and ultrasound as well. And then the other green spaces are support spaces for that. The aqua color is the lab, which is required also for the ED and is shared between both sides of the building, both functions. And there's a specimen collection area, which also is directly related to the lab. The brown areas are support spaces, storage, loading areas, you know, all the things that are required to support a hospital function and a medical function. And these are required by the Department of Health. And the gray areas are the infrastructure spaces for electrical infrastructure and information technology. In this view, you can also see the main building entry for power comes in the back, so it's close to the emergency and main electrical rooms. We are providing large glassy waiting areas, so we'll have a nice view out while people are sitting there. And we think that's a really important thing for daylighting and energy conservation. The building is primarily one story with a roof well up on top for all space. There is a small attic space in the roof rafters that will contain vacuum and a medical air compressor that serve both sides of the building, and a small electrical switchgear room for the mechanical equipment that's on the roof. And then this is the top roof view, which shows the sawtooth roof, which has a clear story under this line. So another opportunity to harvest daylight. It also illustrates the solar panel array that we're proposing to put here, and this should reduce energy significantly for the building. We're planning on a standing seam roof, which will be very attractive and somewhat fitting for the locale, we think. Some straight on elevation views. These weren't in the site plan review package, so we thought this would be something that you would appreciate and like to see. We've selected a palette of materials which we think is harmonious with the local environment. It is a wood look Trespa phenolic resin panel that we're proposing to clad it with vertical planks. You really can't use wood on a hospital like this, and it is much easier to maintain than wood. The standing seam roofing, you can see the clear story here and the solar panels and large curtain walls in these areas, and then slit windows that are in the treatment areas to give some daylight into the actual treatment rooms and other functions that are over here. And the material legend here will show all that, so we can share this with you later if you'd like that. These are the east and west views. You can see the sawtooth form. We're creating somewhat of a highway down through the building that, so we have these tall windows on the ends to bring light into the building. And then the sawtooth facilitates the clear story, which will allow us to flood the portions of the interior with light. And some section views. I don't know how much detail you want to go into these, but this particular area is the emergency department nursing core, and you can see where the solar gain will come through. We'll be able to harvest quite a lot of daylight coming through here, and we've sheltered the front walkway with a 15-foot eave, and it is a requirement actually to have protected entry for patients. And that will help prevent solar glare, but still allow a lot of use of daylight with the right albedo on the sidewalk. This view below, number one, gives you a little better sense for what the mechanical well looks like. So on the south side of the building, it sticks up about 15 feet from where the mechanical equipment will sit and provides good screening from public view from the south. There really isn't much view from the north because there's quite a lot of landscaping for quite a ways north of the LIRR. It is an open well. And then on the back, we also have the eaves sticking out, which are required to cover the ambulance drop-off and the loading bays. This is the view as you As the traffic diverges, so the ambulance is going to the right and the visitors dropping off, the first entrance is the emergency department entry. The second entrance is the diagnostic and treatment portion. We've created this is the plaza I mentioned when we were talking about the landscaping. This will have benches and a couple tables for people to sit, and we've created a hole through the roof to allow a tree of reasonable scale to get through there and to really create a delightful space to be in. This is the view from the southwest. This is the rain garden I spoke about and the rain chains coming down. We're still doing some research on the type of chain that we use. There's some very whimsical, fun types of rain chains that create a nice audible sound, and we think this will be a nice feature for those who use the site. At this end of the building, we also have a small plaza with bike parking and a couple tables that if people don't want to go behind, they can come over to this side. Back side of the building towards the LIRR, this is the northeast corner, and this is the staff plaza in the back, just a place to get away, the ambulance drop-offs, the loading bay beyond, and then you see the ambulance parking garage and the generator sticking out through the trees back in the back. This is a head-on view from the parking. The accessible route takes you straight into the emergency department, and anybody going to diagnostics and testing would diverge over to the left. Another view of the plaza and the waiting areas, entry sequence. And then the plaza again, which we think is going to be a really nice feature. And then an overhead view, which gives you a little better sense for the overall massing. We've sculpted this back. The massing used to be a little bigger. The clear story went to the entire end of the building at one time. And we felt that it was important to distinguish visitor care area from support space. So we basically cut that whole clear story back to really where the visitor areas are. And that's really where you need the daylight coming in anyways. This also illustrates the solar panels, some skylights to highlight the entry sequences, and the little hole through the roof that I mentioned earlier. And you can also see the roof well kind of peeking out behind there. So it is pretty well screened, we feel. We'll talk about materials a little bit. This is the Trespa phenolic resin panels we were proposing. We're actually proposing a vertical plank rather than a horizontal plank, as you see on the upper right image. We're probably going to be going with the classic oak finish. That seems to be the prevailing choice at this time. The standing seam roof is illustrated in these images, and we're looking at an integrated system using a pack clad zinc colored roof with solar panels. This is probably not really much of your purview, but this just is a slide about the interior finishes, and we have a nice soft palette that really works well with the environment and is, you know, really a pretty nice palette for healthcare environment. Pretty limited actually, but with some accents that tie through the building, and the metal is tied through the building in the waiting areas. This is the wood that we mentioned, the Trespa. That carries all the way in on the soffits, from the soffits to the inside of the waiting area, which you'll see some views of in a moment. And we had some fun with lighting, some mostly direct, indirect lighting to create a soft lighting that will not offend the eyes. This is what you see when you arrive. This is the emergency department waiting room. This is the playful lighting we mentioned, reception desk, triage room right behind reception, so it's very quick in. One of the features that we thought was really important was to create the feeling of size in the waiting room. And actually, the two waiting rooms are right back to back. And we could have made this glass if we wanted to spend money on fire-rated glass, but this happens to be a compartment barrier. And so what we've proposed here is to provide a mirrored surface to create the illusion of what actually is beyond. So that should actually make the space feel a little bigger and broader. When you're sitting in the waiting room, you'll have a nice connection to nature. You can see we're tying the same material in from the soffit, going all the way up into the inside and then down the wall. The metal colors are the same as the zinc roof. So again, we're trying to keep a fairly limited palette and tasteful palette, timeless in nature. These are the waiting areas. Just a quick, quick shot of that so you could see what that looks like. And then one of the more important design features that we think kind of highlights the importance of the clear story is the nursing core in the emergency department. The clear story sits right atop this wall or slightly out from it and has a broad overhang to shelter you from direct solar gain. But it will allow a lot of light to come flooding into this area and create what we think is a pretty special space. And that's a view of the nursing core from the entry from the waiting area. And this is a view looking back from where we just were, which also accentuates the highway that connects the two sides of the building. So we think this is a pretty nice feeling space, and the owner's really happy about it, and we hope you feel the same.
Great, thank you, David.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Appreciate it, and not only for the board, I would say, but also for our community and viewers who watch the Architectural Review Board meetings, now have a firsthand look and idea of what is being proposed, and I think it's quite exciting. Peter, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, you didn't discuss the ambulance building.
Okay, the ambulance building is about 800 square feet. It's a little bigger than just needed for the ambulance to allow a little room for yard maintenance materials and lawnmower or whatever that they might need. But it's not a service facility at all. It is strictly to keep the ambulance warm, dry, and secure. It's going to be a diesel ambulance most likely, and keeping them warm in the winter will help ensure that they start right away. That's a big problem with diesels if you leave them outside not running.
Right. I think Peter, you were talking more towards the aesthetic of the exterior.
Well, I know what it's used for, and I think on this photo, it's right at the end of.
You want me to go back to the site? Let me get back there. Sorry. Okay. So it's at the end of the ambulance drive, basically.
What are the materials of that?
Same materials, except we aren't doing the standing seam roof. It's a flat roof.
Why?
So we didn't feel it was necessary to pitch the roof there. They didn't need the height, and it would just add more visibility to it. So we kept it as simple as a simple shed roof towards the back, towards the west, and are cladding it with the same material as the building, the Trespa panels.
Mm.
That's the proposal. And it will be screened by trees and landscaping around it as well.
Does anyone else on the board have any questions for David?
What about lighting?
Site lighting, yes, we have done the site lighting, and we have parking lot lighting, and we have all the calculations in the site plan review package. One of the comments they made was they asked about lighting at the entrances, and typically you don't show that on a civil drawing. That's because it's attached to the building. There will be wall packs on the end of the building where the doors are open to the outside. And under the soffits, we're doing downlights. Everything is zero cutoff, the dark sky approach that we know is so important out there.
I'm in this. Maybe let's wait until Diane might need to mute her computer.
I'll do that for
Signage?
her. I just did that.
Oh. Yeah, we might have trouble with the transcript with both that noise. I don't know if everyone could hear.
So does that answer your question, Peter? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, from the drawings that I looked at, I'd feel a little more comfortable if that garage building somehow related to the main building, right? But we can talk about that later. What
Sure.
about signage?
Signage is proposed. So we have, I'm going to have to escape full screen mode and zoom in a little bit for you here. That's in the works. Given that there's donor and other issues to deal with, we have not developed all the signage to the nth degree at this point. But at the terminus of Pantago Place, there will be signage directing people which way to go, and a modestly sized sign or a monument sign over here, or both. You know, that's something that we know is something that the town will have something to say about. But it will be using standards that are SUNY Stony Brook Medicine and Southampton Hospital Association. These will probably be fairly modest signs. And then, as you saw in one of the renderings, we have a monument sign right near the building, which displays the SUNY Stony Brook name here. As far as out at the highway, we have not ventured into that particular sign yet. We know that that's a big issue on a federal highway, and something that would be subject to negotiation with the city as to what exactly would be appropriate. Plus, there may be a donor name and all that. So that's not shown right now. Normally, you would always have the blue hospital sign on the highway that would lead you there. But that's where we are with signage right now. We're near the end of the design development phase right now. We're just about ready to go into contract documents.
I mean, I certainly think that for schematic design, this is a very comprehensive presentation, and the project seems, at least from my point of view, very well thought out, and we will need specific, materials, colors
Certainly.
later on when you reach
Yep.
that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'd be happy to do that. We're, part of what's keeping us from just going right into contract documents is getting the zoning change, and
Yeah.
COVID has held us up a little bit. So, we're on the verge of that now, and the first step is to get the zoning done, and then we'll be off and running to finish this design.
Jameson, do you think it's appropriate at this point to read the comments that planning has issued?
If you think, I don't know if I've seen them. The comments that the planning board made at their last meeting, is that what you're referring to?
August 6th, 1920.
Do you have a page number to reference for Jameson to take a look at, Peter?
It's a page and a quarter letter. I can read some of the high points, some of the bullet points. The board is in support of the proposal zoning change with the condition of relocating the ball fields and the establishment of new parcels of equal acreage for affordable housing overlay district.
Okay, well, that doesn't really pertain, I don't think those planning comments pertain to the ARB at this point. So I don't want to hold up the meeting with going through things that aren't pertinent to this review from the ARB. Do you agree, Jameson?
Yeah, I also don't have them, which is fine, but if they're, yeah, they might be very, if they're very planning specific, then I guess at this stage, we probably don't need to get into it unless the comments, we can ask, I guess, this to David. Were any of the comments from the planning board to you and the hospital, would they impact a change to anything that you told us today, like design-wise so far?
Not a lot. The one of the big points that they discussed was this easement along the back of the property and whether the low nitrogen septic system can be installed in that, and basically underground structures often are allowed in an easement of that nature. There's a really compelling reason to do that because they do need to be serviced from time to time, and you absolutely do not want a service truck blocking the ambulance route if they're ever over there servicing that. So that is a part of the reason. And they were a little worried about tree roots and whatnot, and that's something that, this is an early landscaping plan which can easily be tweaked to move those trees out of that zone to address their concern. The lighting comment was brought up, and we mentioned that the building lighting for the entries would be part of the building design, not a civil site plan design.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't something that would,
Yeah, one of the other
the
other comments were just about kind of buffering to the adjacent properties and whatnot.
But nothing that would fall under the ARB purview with
I don't think so. Yeah.
Material, the aesthetics. Okay.
So I think maybe what we should do is, I know Peter, when he just personally spoke and he said his personal opinion that, maybe does the board want to kind of each make a comment, or Betsy, what do you want to, we want to have some.
What I was going to do was ask if anybody had any questions for David and or specific comments that are pertinent to just comments to planning at this point, because again, we have a long agenda ahead of us, and we could go on and discuss how what we like, what we don't like, but that's all really down the road. So I'd like to sort of see if there's anything that is important to comments to planning at this point by any of the board members. Diane, do you have anything? Is she muted still?
I don't see her in her chair either. She may have stepped in
her chair.
Okay. Chip, do you have anything that you would like to comment on with regards to the presentation before us?
Just one word: impressive.
Yeah, I agree. Esperanza?
Yeah, no, really lovely presentation. I'm just missing like some kind of cafe.
They probably have a food court or something there.
Is that the nourishment room?
No, I think that's for the staff. I want nourishment for us who will visit.
Goldberg's Bagels is just down the road.
No, I don't want to walk. I don't want to walk in the middle of winter, but that's it. No, it's really lovely.
All right, well, hopefully you won't have to ever be there.
Well,
yeah, but with 2 kids, you never know. Okay, great. So I think that, Peter, do you want to say something for the record with comments to planning, no comments, or make a comment?
I mean, my comment would be, I think this is a well-designed, well-thought-out right? Development which is sorely needed in East Hampton. And I think this is a very appropriate development.
And I agree, and I think that the aesthetics of it are fitting with the area as well as East Hampton. So I want to thank both David Gilmartin and David Lawson for helping us through this, and we all look forward to it moving forward. Okay?
Our pleasure. Thank you very much, and we look forward to working with you through the rest.
All right, good.
Thanks for your
All right,
time.
good luck with everything. Okay.
Have a good day.
We're going to sign off and move forward. Michael, can we find Diane? Is she back?
I think I'm back. I'm on my iPad. Can
Okay,
you hear me?
Need to turn on your video.
Yep.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, and we can see you too. So I'm going to move forward and hopefully you'll get that straightened out. Under changes to commercial is 33 CF Plaza LLC, 33 Carl Fisher Plaza in Montauk. And I had this application, I believe at some point there was going to be someone that was calling in, but Diane Benson got a email from, was his name David? I forget, Diane, who emailed you this morning? Or maybe Derek can say that they weren't able to join us.
Oh, right. I forwarded it.
Yes, who was that?
Yeah, 33 Carl Fisher Plaza. Well, now I'm all confused. I can't find anything because I'm not on my sheet. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't pertain to something that I was familiar with, and so I forwarded it to you and Derek. And I didn't do anything but that.
Okay, I'm going to pull it up real quick. Brian. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Brian Nichols. He said,
Brian Nichols.
yes. Does anybody know Brian Nichols and how he's associated with this and why he sends these to Diane?
He's the grandson of the Round Swamp Farm people.
Excuse me, Chair.
Yeah, I wonder how he's associated. In any
Excuse me.
event, he said that he's not able to, someone is not able to be at the meeting in person to provide the materials and color samples, and he attached pictures of the siding and of the stone and the slate roof materials.
Excuse me, Chair, if I may, I believe we have him on the phone.
Brian, great.
Yes, please, just one moment.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you had to change it. Hi, is this Brian?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Yes. Sorry, I was trying to get through.
Okay. So you are able to join us this afternoon.
Yes. Sorry for the confusion in my email.
Okay. So I'm going to read into the record what the application is for. This is for a commercial building in Montauk at the Carl Fisher Plaza, which is a circular street off the south side of Route 27. And the changes to the exterior include the face building exterior with light gray stone, replace wood roof shingles with gray composite slate, replace street front doors with matching commercial glass doors with dark brown trim, convert second-story bay windows to 4 smaller 4-pane windows, replace remaining windows and convert to 4-pane windows with dark brown trim, convert sliding double doors to single swing door, add a glass display window symmetrically to the other side of the new single door, add additional door to the south storefront. There's a photograph that I took Derek, that shows the building as it is today, its present state. And there it is. As a matter of fact, not too long ago, we approved those 2 signs. There was a question about having 2 signs on this building, but there was a reason that they were able to do it, and I forget the exact reason. Anyway, so Brian submitted a rendering of what the materials will somewhat look like. If you want to pull that up, Derek, we'll go through that and then we can have a discussion. Right. So this is what we received. So there's going to be a slate roof it's not actually slate. It's a composite slate. It's going to be a stone facade, and then you can see that they are changing out the windows and doors, and I believe most of it will have a brown trim, I guess a baked on brown trim. There were 2 renderings of the materials for the slate and for the stone, if we can see those, Derek.
Hold on 1 second.
That came in this morning. That's the stone for the facade. It's a light gray, and then this is the composite slate. So my initial comment is any upgrade and update to this building is welcomed. The only thing, Brian, that I feel from my perspective, what I would like to see is more of a specific rendering of what the materials, the trim, and the windows would look like, a more computer-aided, generated idea of the coloring, how it would actually all blend in with the doors and the windows. Is that possible to get that for the next meeting?
Yes.
I think the reason why I'm saying this is I think
have it now.
Can you show it?
You can email it to me.
Email.
Yes, I can show it. If I can email it to Derek right now, you can pull it up.
Yeah, all right, so go ahead and then I'll continue talking while you do that. Do you have Derek's email address?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So when you turn right off of Montauk Highway heading east, this is like, I think, the second building on the east side. I'm sorry, when you make a right heading south towards the ocean, this is the second building on the west side of the plaza. And it is a prominent building. It obviously, as you can see from the picture I took, it's 2 storefronts separated and connected with the little like walkway down to the area that connects the 2 small buildings. And it's, I don't know, Brian, do you know how many square feet the building is in total?
It's just over 3,000 square feet. That's the second floor and the first floor combined.
So it's prominent. So I think it's really important that, again, not to be repetitive, but as much, of the materials look really nice, and I think it's going to be nice. I think it's important for the board to really see a rendering that's more specific to the coloring and how it's really going to present in that location. So we'll wait for that to come through.
I have a rendering coming in now. There is one aspect of the rendering that is not quite accurate. It has a pretty prominent wood trim around the door frame and the window jambs. That is going to be more streamlined and less prominent. So once he pulls that up, you'll have a better idea of what I'm referring to.
Right, because the rendering that you did submit, the paled just sketching of the windows, there doesn't seem to be a lot of prominent trim around the doors or the windows.
Right, so the windows and doors themselves will just be set into the masonry, the stone. There won't be a wooden trim. We just had talked about it in concept, but it's not actually going to happen. So it'll be more in representation of what the elevation shows.
Uh-huh. So if you could imagine that the wood trim goes away.
Goes away, exactly.
Yeah.
Altogether?
Yes, all of that wood trim goes away, and then the trim around the doors and the window frames are going to be is it a dark brown? Yes, a dark brown trim. I still think we're going to need to see something more specific to this, unless, the board feels that they have enough to go on with this. I feel it's too important not to get a better view. Peter, how do you feel about that?
I'm still trying to figure out and the existing building is now just stucco?
That's what I wanted to know, yeah.
Brian, I believe that's to be true.
What's the
It's
exterior
painted
of
cement block.
Painted.
So no stucco?
No stucco,
mean,
just painted cement block.
Let's go back to the original picture. There you go.
Is there any way to zoom on that?
Yeah, can we get a little closer? Can we zoom in on the photo?
Is there a reason why you're concerned about what the existing is?
Well, I mean, I have to say I'm not in love with the stone.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, if it were just a smooth facade, right, which is, stucco, I mean, it doesn't need to be, very smooth, but somehow I find this approach, I mean, I can't see the joints on it.
I can hardly make them out in the lower part there. Just
on that lower part in the corner.
Yes.
Might be, but
you can blow it up. You can blow it up with your fingers, yeah.
We're not on iPads, all of us, so we can't.
Right.
Well, let's take a look at the stone. Let's see.
The paint has faded in the corner.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the
But just
stone.
to explain the application maybe a little bit better.
No, I know what it is.
The stone will be set in and pointed in mortar, so it will be essentially a smooth surface with just a very subtle texturing. It's not dry stacked stone.
It's enough of a texture for me that
it's a commercial application that has more of a natural. It's a natural application as well as a commercial application.
Okay, so I want to make a couple comments. To Peter and to Esperanza's point, I'm in agreement from a historical standpoint because all of the Carl Fisher Tudor, whether they're residential or commercial buildings, are stucco face facades. I am also in agreement that this stone that you selected is a very raised, irregular texture. So if you feel strongly about this, I think you'll need to present to the board what it will actually look like, a photograph of a like in kind on another building after it's been, because this is looking little, a little bit too texturized. I think we need to see something a little bit more specific for us to even move forward. So I think if you're really liking this stone, that you either show us what it's actually going to look like, and if that's what it's actually going to look like from what you're hearing from the three of us, and we could also, get Chip and Diane's opinion. Maybe there's a stone that's less irregularly raised that would maybe mimic a stucco facade versus something like this. That's what I think I'm hearing from the board. But let me get Chip and Diane in before we figure out how to move forward. Chip, your comments.
Well, when you say Carl Fisher Plaza, I was thinking this would be a great old historic building and you're just doing something to it. It's not. It's really a not so great modern building, and you're making it slightly better, but it's got this Flintstone quality with this stone. And this isn't even, This isn't even the rendering that you're building, because of the trim is different, which vastly impacts the building. So I think we need a much more specific plan of what's going to happen here. And I would urge you to go with stucco, where it would be cheaper and it would look better.
Diane?
Well, I tend to agree with everybody hearing these arguments and understanding that Montauk has its own particular set of aesthetics. So I agree with Chip.
All right. So Brian, are you an owner of the building? Brian, are you just
the owner? Yes.
You are. Okay. I just wanted to know how you were affiliated.
Yeah, he said he represents. Yeah.
But
excuse me.
He said he represents the owner.
If I could just put it in perspective, the neighboring building is shingle, and then the building alongside that is red brick. Excuse me, red brick. And then the building, which would be to the north of that, is a glass facade with steel aluminum trim.
Right.
So
In my
there's really
initial
no consistency.
And I understand that we're not asking for you to match or coordinate with any specific look there, but what the board is saying, and I liked the description that Chip used, that it's very Flintstone-like. And if this is something that the owner is very much in love with, even though the board is giving you their comments, we'd like to see a better computer-generated or drawing with the correct colors.
An actual applied picture of what it would look like with the windows set in and no wood trim.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yes.
You should have just received it.
I think this is too big of a change.
Betsy, he's saying there's another image, so perhaps we can wait until Derek can pull that up. But I
didn't hear him say that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I just wanted to say that I do feel the improvement of the placement of the windows is a positive one.
Right.
But again, I agree with everyone that the texture on the walls is overwhelming and just rough. And I thought the initial sort of more schematic rendering was like a brick, you mentioned a red brick building right down the road, and I wouldn't have been opposed to that. But this is something that I'm not enamored with.
Right.
I think the application needs to be resubmitted in a full form. This is not submit a picture, then submit another picture, then submit another picture.
Let's just see what he has, because I think it's important to just go through the process. We got him here.
I don't have anything other than what we're showing on the smartboard.
Brian, are you sending Derek another photo?
Yes, it should have come through.
What happened?
So while we're waiting for it to come through, I think what I'm hearing, Brian, is that we like the changes that you're doing. We just don't like the stone selection, that there are other options that might look less
rough.
Would a light gray brick be something that the board would approve?
We'd have to see the materials. We can't just say. I think what you're hearing is we'd prefer something along that line versus the rough stone that was selected.
Something smoother, more monolithic.
Yes.
Right.
Less chateau-like.
Good.
I think the roofing is nice. I think the color scheme, the soft gray with the brown trim. I think with the glass doors and the new windows and everything in brown trim, it's the texture that's throwing us off. Derek, did you get anything yet?
So if we wanted to continue with that.
I don't have anything.
So I would like to suggest that we table this and have you come back to the next meeting, which I think is the 27th. And if you could give us maybe a better rendering that we could actually see it, what it looks like once it's pointed, as well as maybe another option for us to take a look at. Okay, Brian?
So just so I understand,
Have we lost you, Brian?
in order to proceed with the application, if we wanted to maintain the original material, I would just have to provide an image that showed how it would look once it was installed.
Right. In the context of the building.
With the fenestration and the trim that you're proposing.
But I would also like for you to submit a second choice from the owner that would look less rough to the comments from the board. So that maybe there could be a second choice or even a third choice that we can entertain. Okay? And you would need to have these to Derek's office by next Thursday by noon in order to be put on the,
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
So what is this?
Uh-huh.
So that is an image of the application with the windows set in the way that they would be on the building.
But the brick is the one you're proposing, or this is a different option?
That is the same material that I'm proposing, and that gives a better idea of the finish. It's much more smooth than it looks in the sample that I received.
Right, because it doesn't have all the, what is it, mortar or grout or whatever
And this
goes in.
would be the actual application.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, this looks good.
This is much better.
Much better.
So is it possible, Brian, you to take this and create this look with these windows in the design of the actual building, and then also give us materials for the railings?
Yes, this is the computer-generated version of this live photograph. I agree, it doesn't do it justice seeing it in the rendering versus seeing it in person.
Well, this looks good.
Peter, where are you at with this?
I have to go and see the adjacent buildings, but I'm afraid that this, if the adjacent buildings are so different, I would almost prefer a smoother finish than this.
Right, because as much as this is nicer than what we were looking at from the, rendering that we just saw before this one, to me, it's registering a little bit more like Sonoma, little sort of winery, farmhouse kind of thing. I'm a little on the fence with this.
It's not Montauk.
Yeah.
It's Napa.
Yeah.
I said,
Oh, that's an improvement from Flintstones.
Definitely.
Flintstone Chateau.
Yeah, I think that this is an important enough change, Brian, that we need to see better renderings and also something a little bit smoother to just satisfy what our feelings are so that we can help you move this forward. Okay? So I'd like to table this for now. I don't think anybody's in a position to approve this today. Is there anyone, let me just poll the board. Is there anyone in a position to approve this today? Diane?
No.
Esperanza?
No.
Chip?
No.
Peter?
No,
No. And Betsy, no. Okay? I'm sorry, but we need to get something a little bit better that we could feel comfortable approving, okay?
I have a photo of adjacent building.
With alternatives, right?
Yeah, with alternatives. Brian, do you have any other questions for us? Because I'd like to move forward.
So I'm just to get a clear idea of exactly what I should be prepared with. I should show a rendering with an alternative material.
Yes, if the owner is very much in love with this brick, you could do a better rendering of the actual building with that look that you just showed us on that one building with the brown trim, so that without the wood trim around the windows, so we could have a better idea of what this is actually going to look like, because we think it's an important building in that plaza. And also to give us an alternative based on everyone's comments, that we're looking for something a little bit smoother, more in the stucco brick family, more Montauk.
Okay, the existing building is smooth, so I would just probably assume to paint what's existing versus changing the facade material.
that's your choice.
Okay.
And so basically, if you also want to present a rendering showing the building with the existing exterior material in a paint color that you're proposing, with the windows and whatever else that you're proposing, mark something up like that also to give to the board.
Right, so that the rendering has the paint color, it has the color of the shingle on the roof, it has the brown trim with the new window shapes and design, and it doesn't have the wood trim. And we'll see you in 2 weeks, okay?
Okay, but will that preclude our ability to use the proposed material?
Well, if you demonstrate that you want to keep the siding as it is and the board approves that, then that would be yes, it would preclude you from doing something else. If you want to use the new materials, then you need to present a better rendering for the board to consider, and then they might approve that, and then you could do that.
Or an alternative.
You have to present them with what you want.
We would like to use the material that we propose, so I can show a better rendering of that material, but I don't want to make a confusing application by submitting an alternative that really isn't the avenue that we want to go down.
Okay.
That's fine. The board was just suggesting maybe an alternative, because I think that they're leaning towards telling you that they don't really like the material that you're proposing. And if they deny that and you don't have any backup, then you'll just have to go back to the drawing board. But if you don't want to do it in one fell swoop, then that's okay also.
Yeah, we're just suggesting you do option 1, option 2, and possibly option 3.
Which would be to repaint it.
Does that make sense? So you'd have option 1, which is what you want, the material that you have shown us, just in a better rendering. Option 2, possibly some smoother kind of brick. Option 3, or stucco. Option 3, you just paint the building in a color and you propose the color.
But we need to see rendering that what the building is actually going to look like on all 3. Brian, here's the thing. We really need to move this along. We're an hour and a half in, and we've only gone through 4 applications, and we've got 24 on the agenda. So you can contact Derek. He can give you my cell phone, and I'd be more than happy to meet you there and or to, help you sort of navigate through this if you have any more questions. But we're not in a position to approve this, so I'd like to just table it and move forward, okay?
Okay.
Okay. And the window
All right, great.
additions are okay.
Yeah, we think the windows look good. And the doors, and just to let you know that we'll need to know what kind of railing that's proposed. Is that, cable? Is it metal? So we'll need that specific also. But again, you can contact Derek and he can give you my cell phone number, and I'd be happy to work with you on this.
Okay, thank you.
If needed. I can't, do the work for you or tell you what to do, but I'm saying if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them after the meeting. Okay?
Okay.
All right, I'm going to move forward. Theodore Freund III, tax map number 300-119-5-6, 291 Fireplace Road in East Hampton, and that's Diane Benson.
Yes. This is an application to improve the parking area behind and next to the popular One Stop Market building. There is a stop work order for beginning to replace the retaining wall without a building permit. And I assume that this is all intended to remedy that. The actual description of the application is to replace existing wood retaining wall with a concrete retaining wall, and the work has already begun. So these are my photographs, and there are a few more of them. Derek, if you could please run through them. I mean, what has been submitted?
Diane, can I ask you a question on this?
Yes, sure.
This was before us a while ago, about a year ago. Was this an application that you did? I think you did.
I did it.
You did.
Yes.
Can you give us a little history here so we know, bring us up to date?
Yeah, this was one of my first sites, and I did go, and there is a whole, this is the original retaining wall existing there.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this whole sort of stamped concrete wall that they began to build that was then stopped. And we were suggesting that they find a less suburban, urban material to use for that retaining wall.
And then they never came back to us, correct?
No. So
right. So what? Because I remember where they started doing that right at that point. It was there, and we were saying that it should be stained. And then they went ahead just now and stained it, which is what Diane's going to show us.
Okay.
Of course, they stained a part of it. They stained one panel of it as an example.
Right. That's what, because the ARB, what was that, like 2 years ago, Esperanza?
Well, however long, a year and a half, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. So, and then they never came back to us with a staining color. It was a recommendation that the board gave them, and then we haven't seen or heard from them since. Okay.
Right.
Well, Derek, if you go through the photos, there is one picture of where the one section of the wall is stained. Basically, they've submitted a site plan and a planting plan. This is yes. So I don't know. I did not recall or have any notes about the initial application that Esperanza reviewed. And when I opened the application, there was a beautiful picture of a covered bridge, and I thought, "Oh, this is so beautiful. Where is that?"
Jackson County.
So I was surprised when it was this, but anyway, they have submitted a recently done planting plan that shows some new trees toward the road front and the entire surface planted out with bayberry bushes and low bush blueberries and which definitely would be an improvement. And it seems to me that the proposal,
how are they going to put landscaping in front of that wall when it's all pavement?
It is and it isn't. it's sort of overgrown there.
Okay.
My neighbor,
But are they talking about on top of the wall?
Maybe they're talking about on top of it.
No,
Yeah.
I'm talking
Chip, what
about,
were you gonna say?
the wall is very tall. The change in grade there is 10, 12 feet. It's huge. My neighbor actually drove her car into the pit that is now there because they've left this excavated for months, and she had to have a tow truck come and tow her out. It is incredibly dangerous with what's going on there right now.
All right, well, first of all, I don't think that wall is the height of it is that high. Is it, at most, is it 5 feet?
No,
Here,
no.
no, there's
it
a
varies.
section that's much taller. Yeah.
Yeah, it
10 or
varies.
12 feet, yes.
Right, but you can see in this photograph that there is some soil, gravel, whatever,
Yeah, there is some sort of,
road that they
There's
would
a-
be able to.
there's a very complete site plan. If you could put that up,
Yeah.
Derek, that has all the various heights of the wall, etc.
You know, I took a ride back there when I saw that they were back on, and I actually saw the visual of the stain, and it's so much better than the white.
It does seem better, yes.
Yeah, but this site plan that they've indicated in detail everything is new as of June of this year.
Right, Diane, can you read into the record what the application states, please?
The actual application itself,
Yes, please.
it simply states to replace the existing wood retaining wall with a concrete retaining wall, work on which has already begun.
Okay.
So the existing wood wall is long gone. It hasn't been there in
It's long
months.
gone. So the section.
Well, some of it is still there,
No,
right?
I don't think so. No.
That picture that Diane took is still there.
I just got a message. I don't want to interrupt.
Half of it is there. Mostly the wall is there right behind the building. The rest of the wall that at the parking lot, this is the corner of the parking lot. And behind it, you can see part of the wall. I thought I had a picture of everything,
James,
Derek.
what's
Yeah.
up?
The applicant is on the line. She just sent Derek and I an email that she would like to speak to the board, and she's on hold. So
great.
when we're ready, she might be able to walk us through this a little bit.
Great.
It's Shannon McCaffrey from Dewey's Planning.
Okay.
Okay, this is Mike at LTV. I will open up that phone line. One moment, please.
Thank you, Mike.
Hi, it's Shannon from Dewey's Planning. I just wanted to go over the application because I think there's a little confusion. The reason that there was such a delay between the last time we spoke with the board and now is because the planning board wanted us to have approval because this was in site plan as well. And so we're here tonight because we need approval from ARB because of color and the retaining wall and stuff. And so we're proposing following up on the application with the stained options that we were, so there's the stained option of the two different, there is the gray and the tan. The tan is the owner's preference. And then when Diane was speaking about the bayberries, those are to be going in front of the split rail fence because the planning board wanted the 4 feet split rail to help protect safety-wise of anyone falling off the wall if they were to climb through the woods towards one stop.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so the landscaping is above the wall, not on the road surface.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Okay.
So is planning, Jameson, do you know if planning has approved this wall?
I don't know.
And what was the stop work order for?
We have received
Without
approval
ARB's
from-
approval.
The stop work order.
I'm assuming it's without ARB's approval
Yeah.
because they don't have our approval and they need it.
Okay, that stop work order was replacing the wall without a building permit. But it's not clear when.
Okay, so let's back up. Shannon, did the planning board approve this? The whole project?
We got plan approval, and one of the conditions for a building permit is to get ARB approval, and so that's why we're here.
Right.
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 And so all that ARB is looking to do is approve the tan color in that stained section that he made a sample of.
Correct.
Which is his
Do
preference?
you have excuse me, Esperanza?
I'm sorry, is that, did Shannon say that that was the owner's preference, I think, right?
Yes, right. And I think when you actually see it, it would be, it's better than the off-white or gray, whatever they're calling.
Yes.
If you, Derek, scroll up past these down to where the actual wall is on these photographs, or scroll down either way, if you can get to.
Yeah, because if it's anything like these little sort of multicolored.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, there we
So
go.
that's what it looks like. It looks more natural stone.
Yeah.
I think in the photographs, it looks sort of glossy, but when you see it in real life, it looks more natural.
No, it's a far better fit with the landscape.
Yeah. Does anybody have any issues with the stain? Would they want to see another color? Are they okay with these colors?
I think the stain, this is a significant improvement over the white.
Right, okay. And Shannon, do you know if you could submit to the board a stain color name or number that we could put in the resolution?
I can reach out to the company and email that to Derek.
Okay. So right now on your figure 1, it says section of retaining wall stain tan. So we'll read tan into the record, but if it's something that's going to change with a number, we'd appreciate that. All right, Diane, you want to go ahead?
All right, then I make a motion, we accept this application as requested for the change of color to this retaining wall. Color tan to this retaining wall.
Can I get a second on that, Peter?
Second.
All in favor, Esperanza?
Aye.
Chip?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. All right, great. Thanks, Shannon.
Wait, sorry, Shannon, don't hang up. Shouldn't the board be, are we looking at the split rail fence on top of the?
Yeah, oh, good question.
On top of the retaining wall also? Is that a condition of the approval? I would suspect that it would be.
But that's not part of the
That's not in the application.
And we don't have any materials to approve.
And it's a.
I think it's on the drawing.
Replace existing with
Okay, everyone. All right.
with a concrete.
Fine. That's fine. I was asking Shannon a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. So let me ask you this. Should Shannon then, should we table this and have her add a modification to the application for this split rail fence?
I didn't hear her answer. Shannon, are you there?
The planning board required the split rail fence. We went back and forth with them a bunch on chain link and split rail with the wire mesh weave, and so they did this as for safety for New York State Code.
No, I remember that because I think I was at that planning board meeting. But my question is, in your condition of approval for planning, does it say that you need ARB for just the retaining wall or the retaining wall and then the fence that sits atop it? Do you know?
The condition shall obtain a final written approval of the Architectural Review Board. It doesn't specify which aspect.
Okay. Well,
If we
so
look at the split rail fence, I believe it's on the drawings.
I can't tell from here's the thing. The way that the code reads is if you put a fence on top of a wall, it becomes part of one structure. So if we're talking about the wall, we should kind of also be talking about the split rail, if that's where it is sitting right atop it in certain locations.
It's not sitting on top of it. It's on the, I believe it's further in.
Because the planting should be right on top.
Okay.
If you go back to the site plan, I believe it's on that.
I'm trying to find it on there. If it's set off, then that was probably by design to avoid exceeding height
avoid a variance.
and a variance. Okay.
Because then saying what ARB could approve for height.
Okay.
And so they're two separate standards, and we got that determination from Ann Glennon.
Okay.
And it's submitted to the.
Look at the lower right hand of the drawing. That's where the fence is.
Right.
Lower right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not on the wall.
Okay.
How far back from the wall is it? Do we know?
If you
I think
look
it's
at the site plan, it indicates, probably looks like a couple of feet.
Okay.
2 to 3 feet. No?
This looks like, so I'm sorry that I wanted to just double check that because I didn't want them to have to come back later, but it looks like this was specifically designed to not have to be included in this approval. So,
All right.
Sorry.
How high is the fence?
Says 4 feet.
Yeah, it's a split rail
4
fence.
feet?
Yeah.
That's great, not us.
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Shannon. Sorry, everyone. Just wanted to make
Thank you so
sure.
much.
No, it's good. No, it's good. It's better to get these things like, ironed out instead of having them linger. All right, Shannon, so you're good to go. And if there's a different color name or number that reference that stain color, if you could just submit that to Derek so we have it for the resolution, okay?
And we did vote,
All right,
right?
I'll do it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Diane approved it and Peter seconded. Okay, so now we're going to move it. Thank you, Shannon. We're going to move into fences, walls, and berms. And the first one up is Bernarda Beltry, tax map number 300-76-2-6, 69 Gardner Avenue in East Hampton. And that's Peter Gumpel.
And Esperanza.
And Esperanza. And if you could read into the record what the application is for, Peter. Thank you.
The application as originally submitted is, what is the purpose of the structure? Children secure. Right? I can't make out. Metal.
Yes, and my copy says metal transcribed.
Right. And what it is, if you go to the survey, please.
Survey says. Oh. And perhaps also we have the collar. I don't know.
Hi.
There's an existing stockade fence which starts, this is a corner lot off Gardner Avenue on one side and 6th Street on the other side. The fence is a stockade fence, which is 6 foot 7 inches high. The owner is also proposing to put a gate right across one section on 6th Street, which I believe is 4 foot high, although I can't quite, it says gate 4
feet.
high 4.
Height 4 feet, length 15 for the gate.
So is it like a driveway gate?
Correct.
Is that the
Yes.
driveway?
A slider.
Mm-hmm.
I'd also like you to note that on the side that the existing stockade fence, which encloses the property, is off the property line on the east side and on the west side. It looks like it's into the adjacent property owners.
Do we know for a fact that it's her gate or fence, or is it the other property?
Her fence.
Okay.
And I think if I recall though, Peter, I think she said that that was a fence that she put up with the neighbor. So I'm not sure, what that means, but I know that this is an issue for us.
Okay, I want to just ask one question because I want to be really clear on this. The fencing that's on her property that runs along Gardner Avenue, what's the height of that?
4 feet.
4 feet.
One that's on Gardner Avenue is if you go to the photographs, is it's a white picket fence, which is only 4 foot high.
Okay.
The stockade fence starts at the house line and goes back from there.
And that's all over 6 feet?
Yes.
6 feet 6 or 6 feet 7?
Correct.
Right.
And in our conversations with the owners, they agreed to obviously take it down to 6 feet. They're fine with that.
Can we get them to take it down further to 5 feet?
She's really concerned about the animals that get in and eat all her plants.
Well,
Excuse me,
so is
Chair, if I
everyone.
may, there is a call.
I know.
Concerned about that, but as you see on the photograph before this one,
There's a caller online too.
right? If you go back, Derek, 2 photos,
It's lagging. Hold on 1 second.
one more,
Back 2 photos?
yeah, one more back, please.
Hold on, it's lagging.
Yes, that's good. All right. This is the existing stockade fence. All right. There's a 4 foot existing chain link fence. All right. Is at the beginning of 6th Street and it wraps around, all right,
To
Gardner.
Gardner. Well, do we
And
have,
this opening, they're proposing a 4 foot fence sliding, right, also stockade.
okay,
Same
so
material.
before we bring the caller on the line, we've been back and this is the 3rd time that we're reviewing this.
At
And
least
what
the 3rd.
Right, and what I'd like to say is the chain link fence is very unattractive. The 4 foot sliding gate is going to allow the animals that she says eat her
Plants.
or is going to allow them to jump in. So to have a 6 foot stockade fence like this, which is, wraps around the whole back of the property, I would recommend that we ask her to bring the stockade fencing down to 4 feet. That would match the 4 feet gate, and then she can keep her fencing along the back side.
So here, if I can just interject before we bring her on, she's really adamant about the 6 feet, and they wanted to do the gate also at 6 feet, and we were convincing them that if they made it 4 feet, it would be less, or even 5. We might have less of an issue. It's all questionable before the board. We were very clear that this was something that we couldn't tell them what to do in that moment.
Right. So the surrounding properties, can you give us an idea of what's happening on Gardner and 6th Street with regards to fencing and things like that?
There are no fences that are over 4 feet down 6th Street.
So she could be as adamant as she wants. This is a problem.
Yes, I agree. And we tried to explain it to her, and she was adamant about it.
I tried to explain to her that if it was for security of children also and for her plants, why not bring this stockade fence back and leave this sort of parking court exposed and open to the street, and then just bring back the whole stockade so that at least it's not right on the street.
Right on the street.
Is she on the line?
There is one caller
Michael?
on hold, and I can unmute them now. I don't know who they are. We'll see if they pertain to this.
Thank you.
Hello, caller. You're live with the ARB. Hello, caller. Are you there?
Who are
Your
you
line
asking
is
for?
open. Not sure if there's a technical
Hello?
problem.
I don't think they're asking for me. I thought it was someone else.
Hello, sir. Could you state your name, please?
Yes, hello? My name is Peter Lord. Can you hear me?
No, that's the next application.
Okay, the wrong application. I'm
Peter,
gonna put you on.
hang out with us. We're just finishing up one before you, okay?
I could see,
Very
she
good.
said she had trouble connecting in the last meetings also, and
Well, it could be in the location, with your cell phone.
This is the third time that we have problems, so let me see if I can.
I'm in architecture before we, I thought it was over.
Peter, well, Esperanza's, I guess, trying to call her or whatever. I just want to also be really clear for the rest of the board. So the fencing that runs from 6th Street to the back corner of her property and then alongside her neighbors going up towards Garner, that, corner back, is that all 6.5 feet stockade as well?
It varies, as you see right on the photograph that's on the screen now. It's 6-foot stockade fencing prefab panels, which are 6 inches up off the ground. So from the grade to the top is 6 foot 6, 6 foot 7 inches. We explained to her that 6 feet is all we can approve. And I believe she said that they're willing to cut it down to 6 feet.
Well, let me ask this. The area that I was questioning, that's the back part of the house, right? So we could approve a little bit higher than 6 feet. We could add.
Because this is a yard facing a public street.
No, I'm talking about her side, her back where it goes, the older stockade fence. I'm not talking about the new.
Right.
See the back behind the driveway? Right.
Yes, we could approve that.
Right. And then the one that goes to the other property, right, on the back side of her house, we could approve that. So what she's got existing there, not the new one that she put up, the old one, we could leave that. And I'm starting to feel that looking at.
Again, excuse me, assuming that it's on her property, but the survey shows that it's
not. Right. Okay. But the area that we're really more concerned about is the stockade that is running from the back plane of her house along 6th Street, where she's planning to put this driveway gate, as well as this, stockade that goes from 6th over to her house. Esperanza said something to the effect about moving that stockade back to the back plane of the house and exposing the driveway. I would be more interested in trying to convince her that would be the way to go. She can have a nice little pedestrian gate back there, and then this wouldn't be along 6th Street. And then just move that all on.
I think that's an excellent suggestion.
And then she doesn't have the driveway gate. They just pull in their driveway, the 6 foot, to enclose her backyard with a pedestrian gate on the plane of the house, I think is as reasonable as we can get with this. It's not fair to the rest of the neighborhood.
I agree. It was very clear to me when we spoke with her that they have a boat in that parking area, and that for some reason she said it's not a parking area, it's just for the boat. And I said, well, I feel like it looks like a parking area. You could certainly just leave that fence back. I don't know. I said if it's for security of the boat, and she didn't seem to indicate that was the case. So there was a whole discussion about how the rest of the neighborhood wasn't that, aesthetically pleasing either. So what was the difference with her having her fence there? So
So, Jameson, she obviously is not able to call in for whatever reason. Maybe it's cell service or she's not available. This
And
is the
texted also, by the way. I just texted her to see if she
This
would.
is the third time. I'm hearing from the board as well as myself that we're reluctant to approve this 6-foot fence along the street. If she wants to knock that down to 4, she doesn't have to come back to us. If she's reluctant to do that, we're reluctant to approve it, I think, at this point, unless she wants to move it back to the plane of her house. What do we do?
I was going to say too, in addition to if she knocks it down to 4, she doesn't need ARB. If she moves the 6-foot fence back beyond the plane of the house, she also doesn't need ARB.
Right.
So that's options. Like we all know, we can't make that decision for her, in particular if she's not participating.
Right. Can we send her a letter stating that the ARB board, after reviewing this 3 times, recommend that she either cuts it down to 4 feet on 6th Street or moves it back to the behind the plane of the house at 6 feet, then she doesn't need to come back and that's her choice, but she's got to do one or the other.
We can do it. We can do most of that. We can't really say that she can do one or the other. I guess she's welcome. The other option would be she's welcome to modify her plan yet again and present it to the board again.
Okay,
she shouldn't bring the same plan back and not be able to participate. We can try and, maybe we can send her a Zoom link also. I don't know how else to get her to participate, but I don't think I put her back on the agenda with the same application again.
Right.
I think
so I would like to table this, and if she calls in while we're still going through the rest of the meeting, which is going to be, quite some time where she has an opportunity. If not, we're tabling it and we'll send her a letter.
Okay. I think that's a good idea.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Everyone has tried to accommodate her quite a bit, so thank you to everyone for that.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to move forward to Peter Lord, tax map number 300-167-5-276 Thomas Avenue in Amagansett. That's Diane. And Michael, Peter was on hold for us.
Yes, I'll unmute him right now if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah. And Diane, can you read into the record what the application is for and give us a little background and history on this before we get Peter involved?
Yes. This is to protect the property from the deer, and my other page here. We heard this application and we went through all the whys and wherefores of the property. There was one outstanding issue about a pedestrian gate that is behind the plane of the house and is a single gate with no fence attached on either side, that the trellis around the gate is 8 feet. And the owner, Peter Lord, is very interested in having this gate, and right beyond it is this moss garden, and I can understand aesthetically his desire for this gate. I feel that I've taken one more picture, a new picture, so that you can see exactly from the road where this will be.
Okay, but I just want to interrupt for 1 minute. We approved this last meeting, correct? Peter was not participating in the meeting, but we went ahead and we approved the fence post and the mesh fencing.
Yes.
In the back, I think we approved 7 feet fencing. Derek, can you help us with what was approved? Do you have that information?
Yes, we approved everything but this gate.
But what did we actually approve technically?
We approved 6-foot fencing in the front plane of the house facing Thomas Avenue, and the 7-foot fencing surrounding the rest of the property that is behind vegetation.
Okay.
They issued, to my best of my knowledge, the only issue is this 8-foot trellis to pedestrian gate. I'm standing in this picture, I'm standing on the road, and Mr. Lord's wife is standing, you can see her, is standing where the gate would be. I feel that given the mood of the neighborhood, that this trellis would be fine in this spot.
Is it along the plane of the house?
It's behind the plane of the house, slightly behind, maybe 2 feet.
And Jameson, we can approve up to 8 feet on this trellis based on where it is?
Yes.
I think so. Sorry, I just had to step out for a second, but I know the application and I know your question, so let me just triple check.
No, I've not seen this picture. Oh, well, see, I think he
sent
that in.
Yeah, this is because he has it just beyond the plane of the house, so you're technically in the side/backyard territory, so you can approve.
Right, now, right, and there was something on that last photograph where it says 6-foot fencing. Does that 6-foot fencing something that we have already approved or is it going to be attached to the trellis, and does that matter?
Is that a question to me?
Yeah,
I don't think we've approved anything yet.
Hi, Peter. Jump in.
This is Peter Lord. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'll try to keep this brief as I know you guys are working hard and have a long agenda. My recollection is you approved 8-foot deer fencing along the 3 sides, the 2 sides and the back, and the up front, slightly behind the facade of the house was 6-foot deer fencing, and the only outstanding issue was the height of essentially it's the gate frame. The gate itself will be 4 or 5 feet, but the frame around the gate itself, I'm hoping to get to 8 feet, and then you can see the lintel is actually slightly below the posts.
That's right. I misspoke a second ago because I said I didn't think we approved anything. This was an application that at the last meeting we had approved certain aspects of it, but before we got it stamped and filed with the clerk, the applicant requested that we pull it, and we're sort of we're going to have to recall that motion and consider it all again as a whole. But at the last meeting.
But we did not approve, we did, the original application asked for approval of 8 foot in the back, and we approved 7 feet at the last meeting.
I thought it was 7 feet too.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would say 7
right.
Correct.
So let me ask this: if everyone is in agreement to approve the frame at 6 feet, can he do that?
No,
whether he
not 6 feet.
I'm sorry, 8 feet. Does he have to not attach that 6 foot, or he can attach that 6 feet? Jameson.
No, he can attach it.
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone have a problem approving the 8 foot frame on this pedestrian gate?
No.
No.
No. Okay. So we're going to reconsider this at the 8 feet, and we'll have to restate the approval, correct, Jameson, with the 6 foot front and the 7 foot back?
Yeah, so what we're going to need to do is you're going to make a motion to withdraw the previous approval. So make a motion to withdraw the approval that the board voted on July 23rd, right?
Right.
And then you're going to make a motion to approve the application with the various aspects that you said. It's not as presented, but then you have to say all of those again, and then also additionally the 8 foot aspect.
Okay. Diane, if you can take back the last.
All right, I make a motion that we withdraw the approval that was granted subject to the 8 foot trellis gate on July 23rd. And I make a new motion to approve the application for 6 feet, nothing to exceed 6 feet deer fence facing Thomas Avenue, and a 7 foot fence surrounding the balance of the property with a
Well,
pedestrian.
no, it doesn't surround it. It's just one side in the back.
Okay. Okay, one, all right. Most of that, some of that fence is existing, so the 7 to 8 foot deer fence that's on the, I don't know if it's the west side or what side, on the side of the property and the rear of the property.
Peter, what side is that? Is that a west or an east side on the side?
Show me
The gate is on the gate is on, we're speaking of the gate on the west side, and perpendicular to Thomas on that west side would be a 7-foot deer fence, then extending along the back, at which point it would meet up with my neighbor's existing fence.
Right. So the side fence behind the plane of your house that's 7 feet is on the west side of your property, correct?
Yes, correct. And then along the back, parallel to Thomas, would also be 7 feet.
Right. Okay. So Diane, I just want to make sure that we say that on the side, you know,
7
behind the
foot
house.
on the west side of the property and along the back of the property.
Which is, south.
Okay, and
right.
And the board, and I make a motion that the board approves the 8-foot pedestrian gate, the 8-foot trellis around the pedestrian gate on the west side.
No, it's the front facing.
Or the front facing.
Thomas Street.
Right, but it's the west side of the house.
The west side.
No, it's either the north or the south.
No, of the house. So Thomas Avenue is on the north, the backyard is to the south, and then you have east and west, but we're just saying in reference to the house.
Right. So the pedestrian
Correct.
gate, though, faces Thomas Street, and it's in the 6-foot fencing.
Right.
Right. Okay. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Can I get a second, Peter Gumbel?
Second.
And all in favor, Chip?
Aye.
And Esperanza?
Aye.
Aye, and Betsy, aye. But it's important that we have those locations in the resolution. Okay, good to go, Peter Lord. Thank you very much for your patience.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
I just lost my screen. Hold on.
We got you.
There we go. Okay.
Chair, if I
I
may,
just
I
wanted to
believe
let
we
you
have
know.
the caller on the line for the next applicant.
Which would be Karen Langdon, I'm sorry, Langdon, tax map number 300-13-2-39.157 Leon Court in Montauk. Is
Chair, would
that
you like-
Karen on
Yes,
the
would you
line?
like- I will unmute the phone call right now.
Sure.
Hi, this is Karen, yes.
Hi, Karen. I'm going to just read into the record, this is Betsy, that your application, okay? This is an application for 7 Leon Court in Montauk, a gate with post for entrance, which is masonry stone composite with a white painted gate. So the pillars are the masonry stone composite. The posts measure 7 feet tall, and with the lights, it comes to right under 9 feet. It's like 7.5, 7 3. Now, if you can go to some photographs, the highest point of the white gate is 6.5 feet. And if you could go through the photographs, Derek, I want to point out, this is in a cul-de-sac. They're asking to reproduce what's existing at number 10 Leon Court, across from it to number 7, which I guess is, that's number 10. Keep going. That's number 7, where they want to reproduce these stone pillars and the white. And if you can go to the survey, you'll see where they want to put this on that. There you go. So this is Leon Court. Now, where this is, just to give you an idea, if you go down East Lake Drive, heading towards the Sound, you would make a right into an area which is called the Startop Ranch area. It's an old ranch, kind of hilly area. And as you veer off to the left, you go to this cul-de-sac, which is Leon Court. Across the way from where this property is the now existing gate that they want to reproduce. So I have one question for you, Karen, before we get into this. Did you ever get approval for number 10?
When we built the house in 1998, it was all part of our submission for a building permit, and we got a C of O. So at that time, I don't think that there was any question about putting those pillars in.
Jameson, 1998?
Well, the fencing and wall legislation was on the books.
The entire property is almost 4 acres. There's no fence anywhere, just that one gate.
I know, Karen, we're talking about the gates and the pillars.
Right. So that legislation was on the books at that time. If you look at our code now, even definitionally, a gate is really described under what a wall is, and so those pertain to the wall, which have the same height requirements then that we do now. However, anything is possible. It may very well be on their CO. I mean, I didn't look into it prior to right now.
Right. So Karen, what the problem is that the code now is anything facing a street cannot be higher, whether it's pillars, a gate, or a fence, higher than 6 feet. Your pillars, forget about the lamps on top, are 7 feet, and your gates at the highest point are 6.5 feet. So we can't approve what you're asking for unless you want to reduce it in size and match it to the one across the street, but you would have to reduce those pillars enough where with the lanterns, it's going to come to 6 feet. And then Jameson, go ahead.
You're saying 6 feet in total?
Mm-hmm. That's
okay.
The code. It has nothing to do with us.
Even though the block is street, my property is street facing, but I own all 4 lots on the entire cul-de-sac. So I'm going to
pass this over to Jameson. Jameson, I'm going to need your help here.
Yeah, it's not particular to, the neighboring ownership. It's whether there's a structure in the yard facing a public way that it can't exceed 6 feet in height. I did just double check, because I have my packet in front of me, that Leon Court.
We have Peconic Land Trust next door, which was a donated lot.
Okay. Leon Court is a public road. So that's what I was just going to finish my sentence. So this does apply because Leon Court is a public road. I was checking my packet. Go ahead.
No, I don't have anything else to say. I'm just asking for approval to just match what is on the other side of the road so that it looks, there's symmetry. There's no fence. There's only privets and 2 pillars.
Okay, we can't approve it. If you want to do something at 4 feet, you don't need the board's approval. The board is allowed to approve up to 6 feet, no higher. And technically, what you have across the street could potentially become a code violation.
So will you approve it if I do a maximum of 6 feet, including the lighting?
Yeah.
Or does the 6 feet include just the stone pillars? Is the lighting separate?
No, nothing can be higher than 6 feet, including the lighting.
Well, I will accept that. Thank you.
All right, and Jameson, even though the other one is not part of this application, do we need to do anything with this at this point?
No, I would stay out of it. It's possible, I've seen it many times that, they weren't as technical and careful, in drafting the COs and the surveys. I mean, someone can look into it, but this board doesn't have to.
Okay.
So basically now the question is just whether, if the board likes the design and the look of it and would consider it.
So let's go back to right. Thank you, Jameson. Let's go back to the photographs. Derek, thank you. So that's the location, the new location, and that is Lake Montauk right there. That is Lake Montauk, right? And that is what is across the street, and Karen is willing for us to reduce what she's proposing down to 6 feet, including the lanterns. Does anyone have a problem with approving this?
No.
No, it is a cul-de-sac. It's not, a through street. Okay.
Very Montauk.
Yeah, all right. So I'm going to move forward to approve this application at no higher than 6 feet for the pillars with the lanterns and the gate. Did I get a second?
Thank you.
Chip?
Second.
All in favor, Peter?
Aye.
Esperanza?
Aye.
Aye, and Diane?
Aye.
Great. Karen, thank you
So
very
you
much.
will
I
send
appreciate
me something. Thank you very much. You'll send me something to apply for the building permit?
Yeah, Derek, you want to speak to that?
Yes, a resolution will get.
I'll follow up with him offline. Thank you for your time. It's been a long night.
Okay. All right. Thank you
have
so
a lot
much,
to
Karen.
go. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Good night. Okay, moving along.
Moving on.
Jeffrey Von Raymond Donk. Tax map number, I'm sorry if I really messed that up. Tax map number 300-55-1-28.28, 23 Bering East Road in East Hampton, and that's Chip.
This is approval for an existing deer fence. This is a flag lot property, a very deep flag lot off of a cul-de-sac near landfall. It's a very nicely constructed deer fence which hugs the area around the swimming pool. It's a large square wire fence with 4x4 posts. Everything is under 8 feet. If there's an issue about the front of the house or the back of the house, the front of the house is actually a front door that faces the garage. So this fence is all in the back of the property behind the front facade of the house. I have no problem with it at all.
I just lost my screen again. Every time, what happens for me is when the smart board does something, I lose it.
Could we see a survey, please?
There it is. So the flag lot comes up along, it goes into a driveway court. The garage is on the right. It's that little bump out. The front door faces the garage. So if you look at it that way, this fence is all to the rear or the side of the house.
Okay.
Looks good.
And it's 6 feet, you said?
No,
it's 8 feet, but nothing exceeds 8 feet. It's well done.
so on the application, it said blonde wood post, so it's wire fencing, but it's got wood posts, correct?
Right. They're big wire squares, maybe 4 inches by 4 inches, something like that.
All right, so if you would like to make a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the fencing as installed.
Well, we want to make sure that we have locations on this. I mean, we're going to reference the survey. So if you could just say something to the effect that where it starts at the entrance to the property and goes around whatever that side would be, is that the west to the north to the east? Give it a shot.
Okay, I move that we approve the deer fencing as built. The deer fencing starts on the
South?
Southwest?
no, I don't know what that is.
Southwest.
Southwest corner, hugs the swimming pool and returns to the house at the far right facade of the front of the house, diagonally across from the garage.
Can I get a second, Diane?
Second.
All in favor? Chip, Esperanza?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. All right, great, thank you. And then we have Timothy Milford, tax map number 300-63-1-10929 Springs Fireplace Road in Springs, and that's Chip. If you can read into the record what the application is for.
An application to build new stone masonry piers and driveway gates on an existing property that's being redeveloped. The maximum height of the gates would be 6 feet and the width would be 22 feet pier to pier. This is over a 2-acre property that's under redevelopment. They're adding a tennis court and some other things. The application is to construct new stone driveway piers and a white wooden driveway gate set back 50 feet from the road. There's some photos, Derek, right? There we go. So, good. So this is the existing driveway piers that are right on Springs Fireplace Road. And they're in actually a scenic easement. They're going to demolish these and set them 50 feet back, sort of just before you get to the car that's in the, and they also took out a cattle grate that was back in that area also. And these piers will be replaced with the new stone piers.
Do we have a rendering of what the new proposal looks like?
Yes, we do. They have sent me photos.
Are they going to remove the lighting? Oh, there's lighting on the front.
Lighting. So these are these are pictures they've taken out of catalogs. These are so these are the gates, and then these are the stone piers. Gates are open. They're kind of rural. I think they fit well in that location. Nothing.
No lighting.
No lighting. Maximum height of the piers is 5'7". I think it's a home run.
Okay. I would like just in the approval just to say that there's no lighting.
Okay.
Okay.
So I move that we approve the plans for the stone piers and the gate, nothing to exceed 6 feet, and there will be no lighting on these piers.
Can I get a second on that, Esperanza?
Yeah, I just want to be sure. So the 5 foot, it's 5'7" pillars, but you said 6 foot gate, and that doesn't seem clear on the design. So I know you said not to exceed, but I just want to be clear what the actual dimensions are.
Let me blow this up. I can't. Let me look at the things they submitted.
Excuse me, Chair, there is a caller on the line.
All right, let's see who that might be.
I'll be unmuting the caller right now.
It looks like actually the measurement 5'7" is the
full height, right?
The full
Full height
height.
of the gate.
Okay. Okay.
And the top of the gate is equal to the top of the pier. So
That's what I was looking at.
5'7", yeah.
Okay, great.
Well, although it's very possible that top cap is an inch or two, and that's why that's it would be 6 foot piers and 5'7" gate.
Yeah.
Well, 5 feet 7 inches doesn't make 6 feet with caps. I mean, I don't know.
And
Well, let's see who's on the phone.
also, it doesn't go down to grade. The 5.7.
Right, so it's probably well, we can't approve anything more than 6 feet, so basically what his approval at, no higher than 6 feet, I think would be fine.
I think that's appropriate.
Okay.
You too.
Chair, I have unmuted the phone line. Is there a caller on the line? Hello? I guess not.
Okay, so.
No, I second. It's fine.
Okay, great.
Sorry about that.
So we're going to move into issuances of certificate of occupancy.
Don't we need to have a second?
I seconded, and you needed to vote the rest
Oh,
of
I
it.
think we all did. No?
Okay.
Okay. So, and Esperanza, you seconded. Diane, I. Peter?
Aye.
And Betsy, I. Okay, thank you for that. I thought we did that. Okay, certificate of occupancy, EE Homes, tax map number 300-172-6-2, 140 Main Street in Amagansett. Okay. This is a change to commercial with signage that we approved a few months ago. It was an existing building on the south side of Main Street in Amagansett that used to be, it's a one-story building. It used to be one of the local realtors' office that the entire exterior and interior has been updated. And I have pictures. If we could just go through all the pictures so you could see it, and then I can talk to you about the little specifics. By the way, she did a lovely job with it. So there's the approved signage on the door with the blue door.
Very nice.
Is that a light right there?
Yeah, I'm going to get to that, but I just want to go through the pictures. There's this signage that comes off the facade, and you saw that the 2 windows that surround the door have the black trim, and then the other 3 windows have the white trim. There's the door. There's me taking a picture. And that is the pullback, so you could see how lovely it's been landscaped. And she invited me in. They were just starting to, get everything ready to open. And it's I think they did a really great job with the landscaping. It's a definitely improvement to the area. So if you can find the tear sheet, Derek, the photograph of the tear sheet of what we originally approved for the lighting, we approved 2 lights that were going to face east and west that were going to be added above, east and west facing the light. If we can see that tear sheet. Okay, there it is. So they were more round in shape. And when I was there, I noticed that what she did was she selected something different than what was approved. And she said that when she received in this actual light, it was too large and she felt it just wasn't in keeping with it. So she ordered a slimmer version. And when we were discussing this at the last time at the meeting, she said she believed Chip had mentioned that there should be a lighting over the door, so she also added one there. I didn't think that there was any problem with this. I just want to know technically, Jameson, how do we do this to approve it, since there was a slight change to the shape of the light? And she added one above the door, which I think is a safety issue.
I think that you can say that we'll do our usual language, notify the building department, and then we're just going to say that it substantially complies with the approval. And then we can add this to it and make a note in the file that the lighting was technically swapped out. So the light above the door,
It's a code issue.
As in the code requires it, right? Yeah, I think we just leave the light above the door out of it.
All right, so I hit, excuse me, I hit a button and I went away for a few minutes after I asked Jameson to jump in. So what did I miss?
I was only going to say it once, and I'm just kidding. I said that we could use the language that we usually use, that it substantially complies with the approval.
Okay.
You know, because it seems like such a minor swap out of the, you know, same light, just slimmer, whatever you said. You put the new light in the file, make a note, that's fine. The light above the door, I'm not as sure about. I think that Peter's right. You know, I'm not 1,000% familiar with the requirements under the code for a light on the exterior for safety. I think that we can just add a notation that we recommend, if the board agrees, if the board is okay with it, that we can say that it substantially complies with the approval and it to include an additional light fixture up in
above the door. Right, okay. So I'd like to instruct, wait, hold on, something just happened with Jupiter. Here, hold on. I would like to, so I have to get an approval for the board. I have to make a motion to approve this, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I make a motion that we approve this for a certificate of occupancy, making a note that the light fixtures for the sign have been reduced in size and there is a matching one above the front door. And I would like to instruct staff to notify the building department that this is ready for a certificate of occupancy as it meets all the other approvals in the resolution. Can I get a second on this, Peter?
Second.
All in favor, Chip?
Aye.
Esperanza?
Aye.
And Diane?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Laura and Jim DeMar, tax map number 300-199-01-1.4, 51 Town Line Road in Wainscott, and that's Esperanza.
This is a, we resolved to approve the removal of an existing pergola by the pool and construction of a pool house at a maximum square footage of 600. The approval consists of a 20-foot high whitewashed brick chimney, lead-coated copper roof, unfinished western red cedar shingles, and unfinished mahogany door and window casings. And that is what is there. So if you want to just run through the pictures, Derek, but I visited and looked at the property and the new construction, and it seems to be what was described.
Okay, so you'll make a motion to approve this and
Yes, I make a motion. If there are no questions, I make a motion to instruct staff that this property is, to advise the building department that this property is ready for a certificate of occupancy.
Okay, can I get a second on that, Chip?
Second.
All in favor, Peter?
Aye.
And Diane?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. Alan Rooney, tax map number 300-55-9-1310 North Hollow Drive in East Hampton. Diane?
Yes, I visited this property and we resolved, we granted an extension of time last week, two meetings ago, I believe. And they have complied with everything we suggested. The driveway gate is now less than 6 feet, slightly less than 6 feet. And the fencing along North Hollow Drive is reduced to 4 feet on the left of the gate and remains at 6 feet on the right of the gate, which we were aware of. So,
Right, well, and it circles up and around towards the back of the property.
Around toward the back of the property. So I make a motion that that staff contact the building department that this is ready for a C of O.
Can I get a second on that, Peter?
Second.
All in favor, Chip,
Aye.
Esperanza,
Aye.
and Betsy, aye. Okay, Peter McManus, tax map number 300-24-4-48, 100 Hog Creek Lane.
Skipped one.
What happened to Sally?
Sally's
Oh,
back.
I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead. 7 Sally's Path LLC, tax map number 300-91-1-16.40, 11 Timber Lane, and that's Esperanza.
Yes, so this had been before us several times, and Mr. Hinkowski has been very, very cooperative. We had approved a 6-foot-high black wire fence along the front of the yard with an existing 6-foot-high gray stained cedar driveway gate, and then there was 6 feet deer fencing along the right side of the house, and that we approved along with 8-foot deer fencing at the rear of the house. And everything seems to be conforming. So unless there are any questions, I instruct staff to advise the building department that this property is ready for a certificate of occupancy.
Okay, can I get a second on that, Diane? Diane?
She
I
has
think she
left
stepped
the-
away
she
from
stepped
it.
away.
Stepped away.
All right, Peter, can you give me a second on that?
Second.
Sorry.
Oh,
Yes.
all in favor, Diane?
Aye.
Chip?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. Okay. Peter McManus, tax map number 300-24-4-48, 100 Hog Creek Lane in East Hampton. And I visited the property. This was an approval for a 6-foot-high fencing along the side road of Full Pasture Road. And it is as built, and I'd like to make an approval and instruct staff that it is ready to notify the building department is ready for a certificate of occupancy. Can I get a second on that, Diane?
Yes, aye.
Chip?
Yep.
Esperanza?
Aye.
And Peter?
Aye.
Okay. Beachcomber Resort, tax map number 300-48-8-22-1727 Old Montauk Highway in Montauk, and that's Peter.
This is let's see, removal of existing deck planting on the first floor of 10 units. Replacement of any rotted, damaged floor framing, install new IPay 4-inch wide decking according with the approved plans, installing of a new railing in kind. I've visited the site. It is as approved or as per the resolution. I'd like to make a motion to instruct staff to contact the building department if this is ready for a certificate of occupancy.
Okay, can I get a second on that, Chip?
Yes, second.
All in favor, Diane?
Aye.
Esperanza?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. Seacrest at Amagansett Corp., tax map number 300-110-1-12, 2166 Montauk Highway in Amagansett. Peter.
This is a resolution for the installation square columns and a guardrail of white composite at the clubhouse. Actually, several things. Resolution to install a new stone veneer at the skirt of the building. And I believe the last one was a replacement of some windows. And I have one more. West elevation, peak color, right, actually existing siding, remove the divided light windows from the door, new door panels at the entrance, remove existing divided lights from the door glazing, and replace the upper sash with new sash windows. All right. Wait a minute. This is, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. That was.
What was that? South Fork Country Club?
That was for the country club.
Well, let's do this. Tax map number, South Fork Country Club, tax map number 300-150-3-8-1. Peter, just.
Oh. That's not me.
No, it's me. Things are going just nutty here.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Derek, if you could just show the photographs, please, for the South Fork. I'm sorry, I was out of order.
That's okay.
There it is.
Right.
All right. Okay. It is in compliance with the resolution. There are actually 3 resolutions on it. They've all complied. I'd like to make a motion to instruct staff to contact the building department that this is ready for a certificate of occupancy.
Great. Can I get a second on that, Diane?
Aye, yes.
And Chip?
Aye, yes.
And Diane?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. Okay, let's go back to Seacrest at Amagansett Court. Tax map number 300-110-1-122166 Montauk Highway in Amagansett. Peter.
This is a resolution to replace existing CMU walls, posts, and wood fence along the southwest corner of the lot, all right, as indicated on the approved plans. Also an installation of new Cambridge matrix stone fence system, column assemblies, and steps as indicated on the approved plan. The color of the stones to be onyx natural, the walls to be a minimum of 12 inches from the property line, the height of the wall to be no more than 3 feet, and the columns to be 4 feet 3/4 inches. I have measured and visited the site, and it is in compliance with the original resolution. I'd like to make a motion to have staff contact the building department to make them aware that this project is ready for a certificate of occupancy.
All right, can I get it? It looks very nice. Can I get a second on that, Esperanza?
Second.
All in favor, Chip?
Aye.
Diane?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. Okay, Judy Rawl, tax map number, Connor and Yvette McLaughlin, tax map number 300-172-3-38.3, Old Station Place in Amagansett, and that's Esperanza.
We resolved to approve a 5-foot high, 16-foot wide cedar sliding driveway gate with 5-foot 6-inch, 12-inch by 12-inch clear cedar posts and caps as indicated on the drawing in the file. The gate will be set back 16 feet from the edge of the pavement. I have visited, measured, and this substantially conforms. The only discrepancy is the posts and caps, which are 13 inches wide. Sorry. Yeah, no, the pillars themselves are 13 inches wide and the caps are 18 inches wide. So not 12. And that's it.
What did we approve? I'm sorry.
12.
How are they wider? The molding flares it out on the top or what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. Yeah.
But is the height within the resolution?
Everything else is conforming.
Jameson, can we approve it?
I'd modify the resolution.
Yeah. It's beautifully done.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that we can say that it substantially complies, and we'll just make a note that where the changes, we technically can't just modify the resolution without, a modification application. But we're talking about how many inches?
For the cap, 7. For the pillar itself, just 1.
Okay. So they're 19 inches across at the top?
18.
Okay.
So if you could read that into your
Sorry, that would be
approval.
5. Yeah, sorry. Or
No,
6.
that's okay.
6.
I actually didn't even see at first that dimension was indicated on the survey, but it is. Yeah, so I think what Betsy's right. So we say you said everything perfectly. Just say, that the board finds that the driveway gate and the pillars substantially comply with the resolution, provided that the posts and caps are whatever you said, 18 inches wide instead of 12. That's fine.
Okay, so what do I
make a motion that the staff contact the building department, that the property is ready for a certificate of occupancy, that the structures substantially comply with this.
Okay, so I make a motion to instruct staff that this to advise the building department that this property is ready for a certificate of occupancy, noting that there is a slight discrepancy with our resolution. The columns for this driveway gate are at 13 inches with 18-inch caps.
Okay.
That works for me.
Okay.
All right, so can I get a second on that, Peter?
second,
All in favor, Diane?
Aye.
Chip?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. Okay. Judy Rawl, tax map number 300-91-3-23, 3 Shorewood Drive in East Hampton. Chip?
Mike, is she on the phone? She said she was going to call in.
There is no one on the phone at the moment. I'll let you know if that happens.
Okay, so this is for approval of some deer fencing, which has a lot of twists to it. 3 Shorewood Drive is a heavily wooded parcel in the Shorewood development off Hands Creek Road. There's paperwork on this that dates back to 2004. The deer fencing in question is totally behind the front facade of the house. There are several issues with this. The deer fencing is sort of a flimsy plastic coated fencing, and it's held up by round metal posts. In many places, the round metal posts exceed 8 feet. Some places they're 8'4", some places they're 8'10". She met me there. She insisted on walking around with me, which was fine. They needed to be, I told her they needed to be hammered in the ground and not exceed 8 feet.
Excuse me if
the fencing is very.
The caller you requested is now calling in. Would you like me to unmute?
Yeah.
Okay, just one moment, please.
Hello?
Hi, Judy. It's Chip. Just starting your application.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm just reading my comments from yesterday. So,
Turn off.
I did. It's just, I don't know.
Can't silence it?
I did. Sorry about that.
Okay. So the deer fencing is a plastic mesh and is 8 feet tall. The fence is not terribly well constructed and has a very temporary feeling to it. Going back to the 2004 paperwork approved by this board, there was a scenic easement on the one side of the house, the east side of the house, where the deer fencing had to be set back 20 feet from the property line. It is 20 feet from the property line, though a recent survey does not indicate that. And in some places it shows it's only 7 feet off from the property line. The survey is not accurate. The last part of this is, while looking at this fence, there are 2 arbors on either side of the front of the house attached to the deer fence. There's the deer fence, and you can see it's in a straight line. The surveyor has this thing wiggling in and out. It's not accurate. But these 2 arbors, Derek, go back to that last photo. These 2 arbors flank the left side and the right side of the house. They are large. They're both 8 feet 9 inches wide, and they are 8 feet 4 inches tall. So it's the deer fencing, which is up. The survey, it's not accurate, and then these 2 arbors that flank the front of the house. Judy, do you want to say anything?
Yeah. Yes, please. So the Ted counted the posts down to 8 feet, so all the posts are 8 feet now. And in terms of the gate was there before when we bought the house 16 years ago. We did not put them up.
The arbor, you mean? Yeah. Okay, got it.
Oh, the arbors, yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the height of the arbors?
8 feet 4 inches.
And I'm sorry, because my phone was going nutty. Can I see the survey, please?
Okay, so that is an
Can you
L
blow that
shape.
up a little bit?
What?
Great. Okay, so go ahead.
L shaped. There's the 2 larger squares are the house. The deer fence goes to the left and it goes to the right. And it surrounds the property on the back of the house. Then you see this curvy line on the right side of the survey that goes in and then goes to 7 feet off the property line, then goes back out. That line is not accurate. That's a straight line and it's 20 feet off the property line. And it's Judy told me it's a passageway for deer to go back and forth. So that's the survey. The 2 arbors are to the left of the second block and the right of the upper block, and that's where the arbors are.
I'm having a hard time seeing. What do you mean by the upper block?
The house is 2 squares. You see the squares? It's not. See the 2 squares. So it's an L-shaped house, sort of. And the fencing hook on the upper right one, it comes in on the upper right side, and then the main block of the house, it goes off on the left side.
So where are those arbors?
They flank upper right side, they come off that upper block, and lower left side, they come off the bigger block.
So off the garage.
So they're in the plane of the house, correct?
They're in the front plane of the house. They do not go into the front yard, right?
Right. And Jameson, what can we approve up to there?
8 feet.
Okay. All right.
Well, I have a question, Chip. Do you think it's possible, you see on the survey, there is a straight lined fence right on the property line?
Yeah, that's a wire chain fence. That's another fence.
Okay.
Yeah, how could you make such a big mistake?
I know.
Well, I asked Judy about it. The surveyor's from Mid-Island, and he refuses to come back to correct it.
Okay, yeah, we don't have to. Just wanted to make sure.
Just to be clear, what is the problem or the issue here?
There's supposed to be
only about the zoning that the deer fence had to be set back from the property line 20 feet, which is what we did. The original owners 16 years ago had the deer fence right on the property line, and they took it down so that they could have their C of O and sell it to us. And then we followed the zoning board's directions and moved the deer fence in. 20 feet. And then that was it for us. And now we're selling the house, and the new buyers have got the survey that was incorrect. But there's the arbors have been here for 16 years. We didn't install them, you know. They've probably been here longer, but we didn't put them in. They were there when we moved in.
Right.
Well, so I understand that you don't want to that you're having a problem with your survey guy not wanting to come back, but doesn't she need to get a new survey on this?
Yes, they do. And they said they would just like to close and fix the survey afterwards. We're trying to close at the end of August, like August 31st.
Mm-hmm. So, Jameson, is there anything on this that's throwing up a flag to you, or can we just approve this as is?
Well, the only flag to me is that, just like the applicant just said, is the original resolution, which is from 2004. It wasn't a zoning resolution. It was from the ARB. The only thing they were discussing is a deer fence, pre-existing deer fence, although it says it's 7 feet high. The applicants agreed to move it 20 feet in from the property line. So it's unfortunate that that's the one area of the survey where there's a mistake.
Yes.
And the fencing is at 8 feet, or is it at 7?
At 8.
It's really like 7. I mean, the poles are at 8, but the plastic deer fencing is below the poles. It's really like 7.
I mean, it's so old that, I mean, from 2004, you know, maybe what's there is what they approved. I don't know. This is a question for Chip, because I would be comfortable as long as Chip can say, so you measured the fence to the property line. How did you know where the proproperty line was?
Right.
Or you
There's
just
another
know?
fence. There's another fence there. It's like a corridor of fences.
Okay. And so if you're the one that did the inspection, if you're telling the board that you think that it, substantially complies with this reso from 2004, because really the one thing they were speaking to is it being back 20 feet from the property line, then I'm okay with
Right.
it.
So these are Judy's photos showing you that, right, Judy, that you measured this and with the tape. Yeah.
Yes.
It substantially complies
You can
with.
eyeball it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can eyeball it and see it's not 7 feet. It's a lot more than 7 feet.
It's 20 feet. They're two parallel fences essentially.
Exactly.
This one,
it's 20
the
plus
one on
feet.
the survey bows in like a bow window. It's not accurate.
Okay. I'm okay with it. Because truly this resolution, it doesn't talk about
Placement.
the other fencing or the other stuff. So if we're contacting the building department that the property substantially complies with this resolution, then let's just keep it clean.
Well, but it doesn't, because the posts are at 8 feet and it's supposed to be at 7. What if we ask her to bring those posts down to 7? To match
Did,
the
Betsy. She hammered them down today. She told us that.
Oh, but to 8 feet, not to 7.
My husband just went and did that. He just went, and if you want them down lower, he can hammer them more.
I thought we would just approve 8 feet because that's the current thing, but you want it down to what the 2004 thing said? Huh?
Yeah, and and also keep in mind too, we've got all this plastic fencing there,
Which is a lot, and it's not terribly permanent.
and it's not safe.
Yeah, but we can't change the material. I mean, if we
Well,
want
I understand that, but if the resolution says 7 feet, then I think the posts need to be down to 7 feet. But if Jameson, if you think that this is,
well, you guys asked me first about the survey, so that's what I was speaking to.
Yeah.
Betsy, I don't think it makes some places the fence is 7, some places it's closer to 8. It doesn't really.
Okay. All right. Okay. And we can approve those arbors at 8 based on their location.
Right, they're 4 inches over. I mean, was that just a rounding error? I mean,
so they're 8.4.
8 feet 4 inches. I don't think they materially impact anyone except the owner of the house.
No.
It's very wooded. You barely see this.
Well, I wasn't even gonna suggest that the board get into that because I don't see.
It wasn't part of the resolution.
No, it specifically says proposed 7-foot pre-existing deer fence situate 3 Shorewood Drive, East Hampton. The applicants agreed to move the fence 20 feet in from the property line. It is, right there. It's not talking about any of the other fencing, I hope, unless it's not 20 feet off any other property line.
All right, let's move this forward.
So just as a caution to the applicant, if these gates, these whatever they are, arbors come up, it's not part of this resolution. So the board right now is not speaking to them. You're not getting.
Right, we're not approving them. We're just approving the fencing at 7 to 8 feet.
Right, 20 feet off the property line.
That's all we were applied for. Yeah,
Okay.
that's all we applied for.
Okay.
I don't know anything about the arbors. That wasn't an issue before.
Okay.
Judy, I'm going to ask you a favor. If there's any way, if you have any kind of communication with the new owners, if you could ask them to please replace that plastic deer fencing because it's very dangerous to wildlife if they get caught in it, that the town recommends to use a wire fencing, not plastic.
Okay, I will tell them that.
You could do that.
Probably
You could
would do that anyway.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, repeat that again? Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, so I make a motion to instruct staff to inform the building department that based on the deer fence and the measurements we took, this property is ready for a C of O.
Oh, yay.
All right, Diane, how about a second?
Yes.
All right, and Peter, all in favor? Aye, Peter?
Aye.
And Esperanza?
Aye.
Okay. Next one is Ocean Colony Beach and Tennis Club, tax map number 300-130-2-6, 2004 Montauk Highway. I have one photograph. This is off of, 27 in between Amagansett and Montauk on the stretch. It's a series of buildings in the club. This faces the ocean. The small window used to be a door. They asked that they could replace it with a window for the kitchen, which we approved, and it looks fine. And I'd like to make a motion to approve this and notify staff ask staff to notify the building department that it is ready for a certificate of occupancy. If I could get a second on that, Peter.
Aye.
All in favor, Chip.
Yes.
And Esperanza.
Aye.
And Diane.
Aye.
Okay. William Tice, tax map number 300-165-5-4.2, 3 Laurels Lane in East Hampton, Diane.
Yes. I have visited this property and it is totally in compliance with our resolution, stating that they needed to bring all the fencing, fence post, gate, and gate post no higher than 6 feet. It looks much better. And that the fencing that was to be brought onto the owner's property, I can see where the greenery has been pruned away and the fencing has been moved. And it is totally in compliance, and I make a motion to notify the building department that this property is ready for a C of O.
All right, can I get a second on that, Chip?
Second.
All in favor, Esperanza?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. Balsam Farms LLC, tax map number 300-157-3-1.3, 176 Long Lane in East Hampton. Chip.
This is for approval of extensive solar panels on the roof of an industrial barn. This is the last property on Long Lane on the right side, just before it intersects with Stevenhands Path. It's very agricultural, industrial, and lots of heavy equipment. The solar panels are installed in keeping with the plans and all the paperwork that was submitted. The building is so tall and the roof is so shallow that it's very hard to even see these solar panels. They're on the right side here, facing south. There's one more picture, Derek, that shows it a little bit better. Yeah, I mean, I stood up. You can just see the glass reflecting, but that's it.
Okay.
I have no issue with it. Any comments?
Nope.
Okay.
We look forward.
Staff to inform the building department that this property is ready for a C of O based on the solar panels installed.
Great.
Can I get a second, Diane?
Yes, aye.
All in favor? Chip?
Aye.
Peter? I'm sorry, Esperanza?
Aye.
And Peter?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. Okay, the last one, Wayne Scott Village Associations LLC, tax map number 300-197-2-11.1, 352 Montauk Highway, Wayne Scott. Esperanza.
So the last time this was before us for CO, I had gone and the approved change to the doorway had suffered a paint job that was the trim on the doorway, or the frame of the door, was painted red. It has been restored to white, so everything is white and now conforms to what we approved in our resolution. So I would, if no further questions, instruct staff to advise the building department that this is ready for a certificate of occupancy.
Good. Can I get a second on that, Peter?
Second.
Chip?
Aye. Second.
Diane?
Second, yes.
And Betsy, aye. Okay, I would like to make a motion to close the meeting of August 13th, 2020. Can I get a second, Diane?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Great job. We really appreciate it. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Derek.
Bye-bye.